Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to our fourth show in our massive 14-hour Streamathon 7-year anniversary charity marathon stream full of joy and loveliness.
In which Troop has only had 2 donuts today. Please yell at him. Thank you.
Wait.
I was just typing something in the chat.
That I regret to inform you that does not qualify as nutrition.
And if I'm not mistaken, it looks like it's from 1997.
Yeah.
That's a great year. I mean,
It's a great maybe for wine.
The Pez is like a fine wine.
Yeah. Pez, wait. The bouquet of this Pez, I feel like this was made in a factory. Yes, I feel there's no organic materials in this Pez.
Hints of artificial bubble gum.
Yes.
Is there an actual flavor on that? Is it cherry or what is it? Because that's going to really depend on what's more food.
This is cherry.
Okay, cherry is more of a food flavor. Cherry is definitely a food flavor. So
yes.
It may count in certain courts.
You know what else is cherry flavored? I think Robitussin.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like that's really cherry flavored. I feel like that is death. Although green Robitussin is worse. Green Robitussin is just real bad.
For sure. Yeah.
It's bad.
And it tastes better coming from a dispenser. Do you have one of those?
Oh, no, dispensers take time away from the eating of Pez. You just...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You still want to be slowed down. But
you got to hone in on that Pez time, yeah.
Yeah. So this is... the last 2 years ago when I did a Streamaversary stream, I had 2 RPGs and I played some video games. And this time I'm doing 2 RPGs, a solo RPG and a musicology talk. And when I was thinking about putting together this stream, I always try to do something that's about the past and the future, right? Thinking about people who are important to me that I want to play with and things that I want to do in the world. And this stream is an exciting one for me because, one, we're playing a game called Twilight Road, which is a playset for Tableau, which is a new collaborative cinematic storytelling system made by Christopher Allen of Diverse Games. And Chris Allen... so I've told this story to some people, but when I first started playing RPGs when I was 11, people were kind of awful and mean. With some D&D, some people were bullies and gatekeeping and just kind of awful. And as I continued to play for a couple more years, it kind of got worse, especially we were in middle school and high school was really bad too. And I was like, I don't know if I want to keep playing. I love role playing. I love this game, but I do not like the experiences I'm having. And I just didn't know if I would be able to stick it out, even though I really loved it. And then I found a group of people who were very old, really old players. They were probably in their mid to late 20s. You know what I mean?
So old.
Yeah, I was 16 or 17 and they were grad students and whatnot. And I found them and they were playing Call of Cthulhu. And we had this amazing woman who was the storyteller and this great group of people. And I fell in with this group. And this group was the group that kept me in the hobby because I was able to play with a very diverse group of people, gender diverse, etc. And people who were not mean and who were kind and wonderful. And this was the sort of a group that kept me in way back when in the 1980s. And so I feel like it's pretty fitting in a way that now that Chris Allen has put out a brand new game, that I get to then play this brand new game from somebody who I've known for actually a really, really long time. And it's this storytelling game. And I thought to myself, who do I ask to play this game with me? And there is nobody that I could imagine asking to play this game with me other than these 3 people. These 3 people I had the great honor of playing Something Is Wrong Here with just a few months ago. And that was a phenomenal experience. The thing is, and I'm going to say this, and Billy's going to try to deny it, but I don't care. I speak truth to power. More likely, I speak truth to Billy. And the thing is that I love playing with people who are very committed and very thoughtful and very kind, right? Who are going to do the thing. They're really going to do it for real, but they're not, you know how those people are like, I'm a method actor, and that means I've just harassed people. They're not those people. If they're ever method, their method is, my method is I'm going to give you some flowers and be nice to you. Like, that's great. And these are people who are always present, always give attention, care, energy. They're always somebody to work off of, inventive, creative, some of the best players and performers together, united in one body that I know. And they're kind. And they are the kind of people who let you know that the RPG world is full of wonderful people. And sort of in honor of like that group that kept me in because they were full of wonderful people, I had to invite these wonderful people to play this game with me today. And we are doing this also for charity. We are supporting the GLBT Historical Society, which is out in San Francisco. And they have got amazing archives. They have archives of oral histories, of papers, of films. If you want to see T-shirts from like the women's movement from the 1970s, they're there. They've got all these things. They're really trying to keep the history of queer folks read broadly alive and not lost. One of the very first book burnings that they did in Nazi Germany was a queer archive, a famous queer archive that I will be talking about a little bit later in my musicology stream. And to not have those things happen, those stories lost, that's what this place does. And so I thought, I love history and I love teaching queer history and thinking about it. And I thought this would be a lovely sort of charity to have going for. And our goal is $700 because I've been streaming for 7 years and we're at 515 and we'll see how we get there by the time we get to the end. So I would like to introduce my players because they're wonderful. I'm going to start with PB because PB causes trouble in chat. PB.
We just realized that you're gonna do something else after this game, probably without eating. So I was trying to figure out a way to introduce prop food in which he would have to actually go grab some food and then eat it in the game. So yes, I'm sorry, I was causing trouble.
Please let me say first, you are one of the creative, creative people behind Table Story, which makes some of the best streaming content because it's made by people who are very passionate. And you are open and you are welcoming and you are humble and you are talented and you are a really human person, very human. And whenever I interact with you, I always feel like, oh, I could tell you anything. You know what I mean? Like you have that kind of, you make a safe space for people to tell you things about their dreams or fears and for you to tell them in return. And there's that's very special. And so thank you for being here on this stream. PB, please, if you would, introduce yourself.
Hello, hi, I'm Pumpkin Berry, and I'm so uncomfortable right now. I don't handle compliments very well, but I'm so happy to be here. So Troop does this wonderful thing when he sends an invite and gives you all of the information that you need, like the date, the time, like the people involved, everything. You don't have to ask any questions, but any message I get from Troop that's like a paragraph long, I'm like, yes, already. Yep. Whatever it is. Yes, I would like to do it. And then as soon as I saw that, I was like, yes. And then I read it and saw that it was with these people again. And I went, oh my God, even more yes, because we had such a good time last time. It was, not only was it fun, but it was incredibly challenging. It was some really good improv. And I felt like I could stretch as a player and a thinker and a human. And so, yeah, I'm very excited. I have no idea what we're doing today, because I didn't want to look too much into it, but I know it's a road trip. So I don't know if we're like trapped in a car together or what, but I'm excited. Whatever it is, I'm excited.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
We're going to find out together.
Surely it'll be a grand old time with laughter and no tears and no self-discovery at all.
No, all the self-discovery, maybe only laughter. Speaking of self-discovery, Bill of the Forest, Billy, my man Billy. Billy.
Excellent segue. Segue.
No. We're going to talk about some self-discovery. It's more like we're going to discover you. I'm going to say things about you, which are really great. So Billy has this, Billy is tall, big, like is a personal trainer, very impressive. And I'm sure people who do not know Billy will be like, oh wow, look at him. Maybe he's intimidating, right? Billy is played in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, does musicals, is one of the kindest people I have ever met. I cannot wait until I get a big hug from him because I've heard from multiple people that he gives the best hugs. Has got a partner that he is so supportive of in the most like wholesome way, and is such has got the soul of a poet. And one thing I know about Billy is that Billy always thinks, he always says to me, like, I'm not, there's everybody in this group is very self-deprecating and I cannot have it. And everybody here is so self-deprecating and he should not be. He is swinging with everybody else in here as such a inspiring performer. And I am just not going to let him escape. I know that he thinks he's going to escape, but he can't. He's just going to be here with us being the most amazing. So Billy, if you would, take it away. I'm glad to play with you every single time I do.
I'm glad to play with you, but now I'm sweating and I have a vest on and I don't want to get sweat on my vest. Yeah. Thanks, man. I don't know what to say. Also bad with taking compliments. So I think that's a trait that we have in common. Yeah, like I guess all the stuff that Troop said was correct.
Yes.
I do the strength coaching. I guess I'm a retired streamer, semi-retired. I come out of the woodwork for these few fine events with some great friends. And
You are
yeah,
tall.
so it's a 6'1". I don't know. Is
Oh.
That's tall.
Yeah,
That's
I
like,
consider that tall. Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
And in the people I hang around at work, I'm like average, but people I hang around at work like bench press 775 pounds. So I'm also the weak one. Yeah, it's a hell of a world we live in. And I'm thankful to share that world and to make new worlds with all of these beautiful people that encourage freedom and are complementary, amazing role play ability. And for real, the amount of intense stuff that you could just get into at the drop of a hat was really, really cool and something that I haven't really experienced. And for like, last thing we did was a one shot, right? And how deep did we get on a one shot without a whole lot of background?
That was
was
incredible. Yep.
Really, really cool and really, really special to me. So I'm really just thankful to share space with these folks again, but B, happy to do it for such a awesome cause, you know? I feel like the stars align for stuff like this and it just feels great. And thanks for the invite. Thanks for watching. I don't know what to say anymore. So I'm going to go get a fan and take this vest off.
I'm going to compliment Marcus right now. So Marcus has got a harmonica. Oh, that's awesome. So Marcus, I have
This is my, I'm trying to throw you off.
No, you can't. Not when I'm dedicated to telling the truth to my friends about how great they are. Marcus, I have known for a while. Marcus is part of the Seattle scene, and I have known him like one of my first, like in the beginning of my streaming world. Like Marcus is part of the beginning of my streaming. As a matter of fact, Marcus was the first person who I GM'd on stream. So it was my very first.
Really?
Yes. We did Cthulhu Confidential together, and that was the very first time I GM'd on stream, and that was with you. And you were the best person to kick off my RPG streaming world with, because you were present. It was wonderful. And at the moment, 2 of the 3 people here who are not me, I have GM'd Cthulhu Confidential with. I have just not done that with Billy yet, and I'm going to rectify that at some time soon. You will not be able to escape that because you are the kind of folks I want to do that with because you are amazing. And the thing about Marcus is I've worked with Marcus at Gen Con. I've worked with Marcus. We've played together. We have been at a wedding together. And one thing I can always say about Marcus is that Marcus is not selfish. Marcus helps out other people when things are wild or desperate. When Marcus is tired and has not slept for way too long because he is running Gen Con, Marcus always is still there to give care to other people and always sort of like helps out people when he can. And that is something that is special and fine. So Marcus.
And look at his frog vest.
Yeah.
Mostly the
good.
frog vest. It is, honestly. Thank you, Trooper. I am really, really grateful to be here with these cool people. My name is Marcus Mays, and I'm just generally very excited for this. Any game that we play, everyone's already covered this. Everything that we've already played together, separately, individually. I will drop anything at the opportunity to get to do this. Just like when we got the message, I'm just like, yeah, of course. I don't care if I have to like run home and through fire. I'm going to be there for this.
So let us begin.
Yeah.
We are, and I'm going to just show the chat what we're looking at. So this is a card-based game where we have a number of cards, just like a whole full nice deck of them that we use to sort of build out and create a story together. And there are a number of different play sets, and this one is Twilight Road. And Twilight Road is about a journey that all of us are going to take together and the things that happen while we're there. And this game gives you all of the, there's no GM, but it gives you all the instructions about what to do and how to do it. That is all available for us. So I have laid out all the cards that are relevant. There might be a couple extra, but I think we've got all of them here. And we just have to start together. I've got all of this here. I've got this all here. Oh, I suppose I should say there are some inspirations to ponder when we think about road trips. Are this journey, 'cause it's really about a journey. It'll help us tell a story about a strange and wistful journey. And the things to ponder in your mind would be Ghost Roads by McGuire, American Gods, Flaming Iguanas, Preacher, On the Road, by Kerouac, The Odyssey by Homer. These are all things in terms of novels and graphic novels. Movies, Logan, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Y Tu Mama Tambien, Thelma and Louise, Midnight Run, National Lampoon's Vacation, The Blues Brothers, Mad Max, Easy Rider, The Road to Morocco, Stagecoach, The Wizard of Oz, It Happened One Night. For television, Poker Face, The Last of Us, Roadies, Battlestar Galactica, The Fugitive, and Route 66 and Rawhide. So this is like a thing to keep us in our mind. And to begin, we're going to just take about, a couple minutes together to share our favorite media about long journeys, road trips, expeditions, quests, and pilgrimages to get us in the mood. What inspires us about these stories?
This is a weird one.
Mhm.
But one of the road trip movies that I always think of as like a strange road trip movie, but when I was a kid, it really opened up my sense of adventure. Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh,
really, it's just Tim Burton's first movie, and it's just how creative everything was. It was snowballing downhill. I had never seen anything like that before, so that was probably my first road trip movie. And I always think about the highs and the lows and how weird that one gets.
I feel like I'm going to have to point out something about that film.
Oh, please.
Jan Hooks, when she is the tour guide for the Alamo, and he's there, and he's like wanting to get to the basement of the Alamo, and he's just waiting for her to get through her spiel, and she's like, "This is maize. That's what the native people call corn. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds of uses for maize, all of which I will tell you about right now." And and that moment with her chipper face and him just like his
Just
face
giving up. Oh no, she's also Jan Hooks is also incredible at that. She was just that like hollow, empty. I've been doing this forever, but sincere smile. It's just something that you can only do if you're a comedy legend.
Oh man, so good. And then of course also Large Marge. I mean that's such a great film. It's such a great film. Oh my goodness. let me see, other really good ones. Let me think. I will note Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, blah. As soon as you said that, I was like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a great one.
I think
Uh,
for me, one of the things that I loved about it was that moment about an hour in, maybe, when I was like, oh, I don't think I've breathed. I don't think I've been breathing for a very long
Yes.
time. And I didn't
Yeah.
even realize that I wasn't breathing. I had been holding my breath for so long because it was just this moment of intensity. And it was that one moment, it's like the 2/3 of the way through where they had that final moment of respite, just brief. And I was like, oh, okay. And to the way in which it was very subtle. I understand there's a lot of explosions, right? But the way in which they're able to sort of build tension consistently over time without actually, like, that was the subtle part, right? And that was a pretty amazing. I thought that was phenomenal. Yeah.
oh,
Go ahead. Nope.
I was just going to piggyback off of that because I think I was looking through the list of movies and a couple of them stood out to me and then a few more in my mind, like
Mm.
Mad Max Fury Road, but
Oh,
also Brother, Where Art Thou?
yeah.
Before Sunrise, I think would count. And I think I
Ooh,
mentioned
Yeah,
this movie
yeah.
last time. Coherence, I think, would count. But I think what I find fascinating about journey movies, even Battlestar, is the movies that masquerade themselves as a physical journey when it's really a mental, emotional,
Oh.
and or spiritual journey. I love those. So yeah, I feel like Mad Max Fury Road is definitely one of those. So yeah.
For me, I feel not the television show, but reading the book American Gods, because I don't read a lot. It's hard for me to, like, I'll read the first couple chapters of a lot of stuff and then get sidetracked and then never pick it up again. But something about American Gods, about the cosmic possibility of just like, you have a place you start and you have a place that you finish, but everything in between. And like so much of my childhood, like I grew up in the country, and I know this is not like directly from another source, but one of the best moments of my life in the story I'd like to live on after I die is a friend that I was friends with in my early 20s randomly reached out and got us Metallica tickets, and we traveled from Columbus, Ohio to San Francisco, California in 48 hours, stopping for like a 2-hour nap in Wyoming. And like I've made cuts and I've honed that story down to like 28 minutes solid. There's just so much of that story that can like define me in terms of self-discovery and seeing like the West Coast for the first time and being physically exhausted and not being able to push myself to drive, but like we had to do it. We had to be at a certain place at a certain time, and discovering my friend in a completely different light after like things happen. You grow apart and you come back together, sharing music. And the whole time we had his rescue pit bull who was with us in the car like the entire time, is just like this energy absorbing travel companion. Like really, if I were to die and be distilled into one thing, it would be this story is just fucking out
That's
of
a
this
powerful
world.
statement.
And like Nikki has heard me tell this story to folks several different times, and she's like, every time I hear that story, it gets better every time.
Oh wow.
And it's like, oh man, I stuck my feet in the Pacific Ocean for like the first time, and just the sheer raw magic, and like not I'm a fantasy dude, but I know what's real and I know what's not real, and the magic on this journey was out of this world.
I have a question.
Oh,
What
yeah.
is it about road trips or journeys that cause us to reflect internally then? Because as you were talking about this story, I started thinking about, okay, well, what road trips have I been on? And there's not a single one where I wouldn't kind of look at it the same way when it's over, being like, wow, that was incredible. That was quite a long journey, but in the end it was great. Or I have so many cool stories from that.
I feel like it forces, because humans are creatures of habit, and it forces you out of that. You're
Yeah.
trapped. You have a closed audience, Sometimes your cell phone doesn't work and all you have is the radio, which is another
Yes.
huge magical piece
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
for road
yes.
trips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And
uh,
like this goal, this thing that you have to reach that, I mean, in case you went all the way from East Coast to the Pacific, right? So East to West Coast. So that's like a very long road trip. And I think at times that probably feels like, wow, we're never going to reach that.
I think for me, I was thinking about one of the things that inspires me, and I was thinking another one, a really good sort of journey film that I really loved, which is a dark film, is Night of the Hunter with Robert Mitchum.
ooh.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen that. I have to
Oh,
Google this right now.
oh yeah. It's about these two kids, and he's like this creepy. He's a preacher. He's not a preacher. He's actually a con man, a convict who is out to fight. Like he was serving in prison with this guy who had robbed a bank and hidden the money, and this guy gets out of prison, wants to find out where the money is, and so like pretends to be a preacher and gets in good with this guy's wife and his kids, kills the mom. This is the early part, and then the entire movie is him chasing these kids because he thinks the kids know where the money is. It's dark, but what's amazing about it, and when I think about,
I imagine they've probably remade this one a couple of times because I feel like I recognize that plot. It's based off of a book, right?
well, that's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, this is
Someone in
Mitchum and
chat
Winters.
says Cape Fear.
No, that's a
Chat's
Cape Fear couldn't be the remake of Night of the Hunter, could it? 'Cause
No,
wasn't-
no, because
No,
Cape
Cape
Fear was
Fear
a
was
remake
on
of
a
Cape
boat.
Fear.
That idea,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
It was a
feel
remake
like
of another thing.
Yeah,
there's
but here's
another film where there's this serial or this
Yeah.
killer who's chasing two kids. Because
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, I think
But-
that's interesting.
what I liked about it was the same thing I like about a lot of these sort of road movies, or even certain things, and it's the vistas. There are moments in black and white. There are moments in that film that are beautiful, right? Where you can see them sitting on like a train, and you can see like the vastness as they're moving. For me, when I think about like the kind of road trip or the journey that I really love, it's that one. It's not just the radio in the car. Like it's not the same if you're just taking an hour-long ride in the city itself, but it's about seeing the vastness of country, moving through it, being overwhelmed by the beauty of nature and being able to see it and moving through it. Right? There's just something very, especially like if, which is why I like Fury Road actually, right? Because you can see so much and you're listening to the radio, or maybe you're singing along with friends. So you're not going to be bored because you are in motion. But when you have these great vistas, it seems almost like you're not moving at all. It's this kind of really wonderful paradox of like seeing something, being in the immensity of it, right? It's like the immensity of stars. It's like when you, like if you're in Texas, in the middle of West Texas during a thunderstorm, and it's just all stars. Like for me, that's like the journey is like all stars, all this. That is the kind of journey that it makes you feel small, but not in a bad way, right? To feel
Small but not insignificant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Small, but even sometimes even more significant, right? Because you
Yeah.
are just this little piece of something so much greater. And that's, I think, what I like about journey movies. Yeah.
I do want to share one thing that popped in
Yeah.
my head recently, that because a lot of the adventure involves some sort of mecca, some sort of holy place that you're getting to, and that reminds me of the movie Detroit Rock City.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have a group of these kids trying to get to the Kiss concert, and
Yeah.
everything goes wrong. And like for Mecca to be 1,000 different things, but in this instance, a Kiss concert.
Yep.
You know, and it made something that we take for granted as like an everyday thing seem like this holy event.
And also, you get out of your own rut, right? That's the thing. You get to be somebody different. You're no longer in those confines of the person that you had to be before. Now you can be somebody new. And actually, you have to be somebody new in this new context, right?
Do you think it changes when you're with people you know versus taking a trip journey alone?
I think it depends on if they're
Yeah.
on the trip with you or if they're just in the same
Or if you-
car.
Oh, that's such a good way to put that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if they're
Or
on the
people
trip
you
with
meet
you,
along the way as well.
yeah, then it can be actually something even more profound, right? If these people that
Yeah.
you thought you knew all along, you take this road trip with them, and all of a sudden you actually get to sort of expand who you are in this. It's what Billy said about his trip to see Metallica, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
I have
Okay.
to know
wanna
more
f-
about this because even just the statement, if you distilled me as a human in down to one moment, it would be this. I don't know if I have that. I don't know if I would be able to articulate that or choose a moment that I could distill myself down into, but my goodness, like I want to hear this story.
I got time.
Yeah.
That's one thing I do got.
Now I want to sing the song. But what we do next is we have 2 cards, core cards that are like the central core of our experience here. They are our first truth. The truth of this thing we're building together, the table that we're at, because we're doing the Twilight Road, is that we are fellow travelers on the Twilight Road. Whatever that means is up to us. So 2 of us should look at the 2 cards, the story cards, the Twilight and the Road, which are on the upper right, because they are the core cards that we need to start with. Somebody take one, somebody take the other. We'll start with the Twilight, read the front, flip it over, and read the back, and we will do what these cards tell us. We will sort of contemplate and ponder them. I nominate Billy for the Twilight. Also, remember, if you hover your mouse over a card, you can click it, and then you hit the Z, it zooms in for you.
I'm
So
just
you can-
discovering there was a whole right side of the board.
There we go.
Give me
Yeah,
second.
it's a big board.
Oh.
It's a big board. There are a lot of cards in here, and there's a lot of space because we are going on
Yeah.
an epic journey. It's going to be
Yeah.
massively huge.
When Trooper said at the beginning of the stream that it's a pretty big board, but I'm like, oh, and I zoomed out and I saw how many additional cards were there. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Billy.
Mm-hmm. Would you
so,
read us the Twilight?
Sure.
It's a theme.
And endings, change, places, and times between. The magic of transitions and the bittersweet march of time. When placed on the table, what is appealing about Twilight as a theme for our story?
Okay.
Should I answer it one at a time, or
All
should
of
I
us
read all
should.
three?
This is
Oh, yeah.
you are leading us through
Okay.
this.
What is appealing about Twilight as a
That's
theme for our
liminal.
story?
Liminal.
That's the first thing
Mhm.
first thing that popped in my head. It's a liminal space, and that always intrigues me.
I'm gonna take notes. Liminal space. Yeah. I think there's something romantic about Twilight, personally. Right.
Ooh.
And I mean that
Ooh.
like in the great like
Expand on it.
19th century sort of way. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
When I think about Twilight, I often think about when I was in the army.
Uh-huh.
There was a moment when we were all like, this was like in basic training, we were on bivouac, which is like we were doing short field exercises for only a couple of days. And we had to dig and build this foxhole. And 2 of us built this huge foxhole. They're like armpit deep, like 2 rifles wide. So it's like a grave. And you're in there, and we're in there, and it's South Carolina, but it's now like November, December. So it's getting really cold. And it's we're like middle of the bivouac, and we're in the foxhole. We're both up because we have to be awake because it's that kind of twilight space. And we're wet because it's kind of wet and damp. And so we're wearing like our uniforms, but also these kind of plastic rain sorts of things. We got our poncho on over it. It's just like a little bit miserable. And as we're there in the twilight, we hear them. We have a brother unit, and they are leaving. They were on bivouac and they were leaving, and we can't see them because it's sort of in that sort of twilight space, but we can hear them calling cadence, and they are singing, right? And there I am in this foxhole, and I'm wet, but I can just hear this brother unit of ours singing cadence, and their voices were beautiful, and they were calling out, and everything was just still. You could hear the birds. There was no birds, but it's like you could hear like the rustle of like nature, and you could hear them singing. We knew they were going home back to the barracks. We would be going home sometime soon too. And it was funny and it was beautiful. And for me, when I think about the twilight, it's this moment for me where everything is not only liminal, but everything becomes very crisp in its own way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, for me, it's like this special moment I always think about where kind of magical and romantic things can happen because I just feel like people have a bit more, pay more attention in that moment when they recognize the twilight.
I in the same vein as that, I think so many people and so many things in life are kind of relegated to this binary, and you
Mm,
have day and night,
mhm,
and then but
mhm.
that's not really the case with
Yeah,
Twilight, and I feel there's something about it that
yeah.
bends bends the rules of science, bends the rules of physics, because
Yeah.
during the day it's this static yellow sun, during the
Yeah.
night it's the absence of that sun, and then in the twilight you have light refracting off shit in the atmosphere to
Mhm.
make all of these different colors, right?
Mm,
So in and it feels like you're compressing time and other elements of our world that exist
mhm,
into this tiny little space, like a door between
mhm,
worlds, like a welcome mat to night or a welcome mat to the morning, where anything can happen, right? There's extra pressure, there's extra energy to get what you need to get done before the day or the night
yeah.
finished, and it's this kind of this magical segue, this intermission, if you will.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's just a great element to any story, let alone what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. Marcus, you got something?
I don't know, honestly, you guys covered it pretty well. But like honestly, very very super simple. The concept of Twilight being, for me when I was younger, it was like, oh, it's it's this late period of time before it's going to start getting dark. But then the fact that I realized that, like, oh, it could be also, sunrise could count as
Yeah.
twilight. It's
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
it's this
Yeah.
beginning and end, and it's depending on how you perceive it, how you look at it, how you choose to live your life. People are going to work at this time, people are coming from work at this time.
Mhm,
It kind of made me realize that the world is a lot more alive than I
mm,
I knew when I was younger,
mm, mhm, mhm. Yeah.
because bedtime for everyone is not 10.
Yeah. Mhm, mhm.
Troop, Twilight, the word why, where does that come from? Because you would know this.
It's
Yeah.
So
two
like,
lights, I
Yeah.
believe.
so
Mhm.
so it's not just twin. So that's interesting because you were saying twilight could mean daybreak as well. And then I was
Yeah.
thinking, okay, like, oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Twilight would then double as both the break into the morning light and then
Mhm.
also into the evening light. And I just
Yeah.
literally had never thought of that before, but you're absolutely right. So yeah, that's super interesting. I think that the more romantic one of the two is the one of before sunrise, right? Like as the sun is coming up, whereas
Yeah.
the twilight in the evening for me feels a little bit just innately spookier, or like
Mm,
Mhm.
the unknown
mm,
is there, or
mm,
I feel like, I'm
mhm.
more, if there's a scary story and it's happening in or
Mm,
around twilight, or I'm watching a
mm,
film and there's that twilight, I'm already a
mm.
little bit more on edge than I would be at daybreak. And I
Yeah.
don't know, I'm sure that's probably culture and just a lot of media that's trained me to feel that way.
Yeah.
Or is it? Or is that just something
Yeah.
innate where we go, okay, here comes the night, here comes the dark?
Do you want to know something? It's an army thing.
Always.
It's an army
Always.
thing. When you're in the field, normally you would have during the day one person would be on guard duty, right? And then at night, usually at night as well, one person would be in the foxhole, the other person would be sleeping. You'd be alternating every hour. We would cheat and give ourselves an hour and a half because an hour
That's, yeah.
it's brutal. Um,
Yeah.
but
How
at
is that not
twilight,
classified as torture yet?
but at
Sweet.
twilight, both people have to be in the foxhole because twilight is the most dangerous time when it comes to being in being on guard duty, because if the enemy is going to attack, they're going to attack in twilight because that's when your visibility is the worst. So everybody
Wow.
has to be in their foxhole and ready at twilight, either dawn or dusk, because that is like the most sort of like crucial time. In the middle of the night, midnight, no problem. One person, you're fine. At middle of the day, one person, you're fine. But during dusk and dawn, both people, both battle buddies have to be there together because of the sort of precarity of that moment.
Yeah.
Mm.
Interesting.
So it definitely means both in that context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
Ooh.
I like it because it's the idea that it's merging of the two
Mhm.
different, either the
Mhm.
two different worlds or the two
Mhm.
different lights or two
Yeah.
different realms. You could literally, and
Yeah.
we do so much with that. A lot of our supernatural, lore and media expands upon you get there by going through a door at twilight or whatever. So that's
Yes.
very
Yeah.
interesting. That's very
Yeah.
cool.
Billy, take us on. Give it to us.
Totally lost track of it. I was just absorbed in the thought of this thing. Okay. Is there a literal manifestation of this theme in the world, or is it more of a conceptual touchstone?
I think it's a conceptual touchstone.
Okay. Okay.
That seems like the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like it leaves the most room for us to play around in the space too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're going to start defining our world. I sort of wonder, like, is this conceptual touchstone something that we all know? Like, is it like a, is there like a, is this like a thing that is like a, you know how some things are symbolic and cultures know about it? And like, that's the sort of
Yeah.
symbolic thing. Like, I wonder if that exists or not.
I mean, I'd be down for that. It could literally
Yeah.
be a gate. We could have our own
Yeah.
version of a Stargate or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm into that. Maybe that's what we're traveling to.
Mm. Ooh. Okay, I like it. Oh,
And
I
that's
like
why they
it.
call it the Twilight Road, because
Yeah.
that's where it takes you.
Oh. Ah. Oh, that's interesting, right?
Yeah. And you probably, I mean, if we're also saying that it's conceptual, then it
Yeah.
probably means no one's seen it, right? We haven't actually seen it.
So
We
we're
won't know what
looking.
it looks like until
Oh.
we get to the end of the road.
Searching.
Yeah. Okay.
So what kind of that? Oh man, that informs
Yeah.
so much about the journey because
Yeah.
that's a huge risk on our part.
Yeah.
Huge
Yep.
risk.
Because we don't know what's there. So now
Yeah.
we're not just taking a road trip. We're now kind of adventuring into the unknown a little bit as well. But why? What would motivate you to take the Twilight Road then? And is it something that is inherently dangerous, or is it just something that is you take the, is it like you're taking the road into the next life? You're taking a road into wherever, and it's just people don't come back once they take the Twilight Road.
I really like this idea that it's a phrase that people say in the culture that we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so and so, they went on the Twilight Road, right?
Yeah.
And
It
that's like
sounds like
We're like, I
when
haven't seen you in 5 days. I thought you went on the Twilight Road, just like
Yeah.
casual dropping it in conversation, like,
yeah.
listening to that. It's if you ever see someone make a social media post about a pet passing away,
Yeah.
like the Rainbow Road.
Yeah, the Rainbow Road. Yeah, exactly. Or
Aboriginals will go on a walkabout, right? And a walkabout is both like it's metaphorical, spiritual, and literal. So like there's kind of interesting that like people may walk roads, but they're not all the Twilight Road, right? You know what I mean? Like there could be like a there's like a weight, like or an intentionality to it in certain ways, right? When you go on the Twilight Road.
So does that mean that, especially if we're doing not a physical space, does that mean that you don't go to a specific place to get there? Does that mean that
you could just trip balls?
We could imply that either you trip balls, or when you're ready to go on the Twilight Road, you're just there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no like one way to get there. And then all of a sudden you're standing around and you got these 3 other people with you and you're like, oh, where are we? Oh no. And you might not even decide to do it. You might just be there. Silent Hill.
It might just be time.
Style. Yeah. Like, all right.
Yeah. That there are many times we all take journeys, but not always are we on the Twilight Road, and then sometimes we are. And
Yeah. Oh, I love that idea. Like, oh man, that I'm a huge fan of that, because the implication could be that, oh, I've done this a couple of times. Oh, yay, it's another one of these things that just happens in our culture. We're just now suddenly here, and I'm on a road, and where are we going? And then as you progress down the road, you're like, this could be the Twilight Road that we're on, and no one wants to say it because the implication is like, well, oh, we're not going to come back from this.
Can I posit another truth? That people in our society, in our culture, where we're at, I don't know that yet, right? They sometimes go missing because they're on a road. But there's more than one road. There is like, perhaps there's like the day road, the night road, the Twilight Road, and these are and sometimes you go on the day road and you are missing for a few hours on the day road, but people always come back from the day road, or like,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's the Twilight Road that you're on.
Yeah.
But of course, we don't always. I think there's a lot of talk about what it might mean from people who have not been there, right? Like I think there's these
That's my
sort of
next
like,
question.
yeah.
So how do we know about the Twilight Road then? If no one comes back from it, how do we know? And is it just something that is a myth that we talk about?
The ancient texts.
Is it an
Yeah.
inescapable truth, or is it something that we just heard about or think
Yeah.
think we know? Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that would imply that some of us could fundamentally believe in the Twilight Road,
Yeah.
and then some of us
Yeah.
could be like, oh, that's just a story.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not true. And
Yeah.
then as we continue down, it's like, oh no. Not only is it real, but I think we're here.
Yeah, I think
And-
I like the Sun Road and the Moon Road better than the Day and the Night motif, like the Twilight Road, the Sun Road, and the Moon Road. Because that sort of goes into something that you were saying earlier, this idea that sometimes it actually makes me think a little bit of the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where like
Yes.
sometimes you go into the wardrobe and it's just the wardrobe, and sometimes it's actually not, and then you are
Yeah.
in another place.
I also like the idea that there's a bunch, you could have
Yeah,
the discordant road,
yeah.
and maybe we chose those names, or the ancient text
Yes.
chose the names based on what you experience while on the road.
Yeah.
So one of the clues for the Twilight Road could be that the sun, you cannot
Yeah.
see the sun and you cannot see the moon. It's forever
Yeah.
twilight,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is, interesting. And yeah, there's probably tons of like shadows and
yeah.
The way that this is being pitched kind of has big time like Hunger Games vibes, where
Mhm.
you get summoned to a
Ooh.
thing that's completely out of your control.
Yeah.
For either the amusement of others or a greater thing for where you came from. That's just a thought that popped into my head, like as we're talking about these paths, these roads, these almost like it's like a weird profession journey, or the giver.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yes.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
giver,
Yeah.
the giver
Yeah.
is the one that walks the Twilight
Mhm.
Road, and
Yeah.
everyone else has the role assigned to them.
Yeah. 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 I also imagine we probably have to travel quite a lot in our society, right? That's
Yeah, we
probably,
must be nomadic.
yeah. There are probably like settlements, but I imagine there's probably a lot of traveling. That's probably where some of the mythology on roads happen, right? Because if you're
Yeah.
always traveling, then you create stories about traveling, like Fey roads, that sort of thing. So I imagine there's a
That's a
lot
whole
of,
thing right there.
Yeah.
a lot of traveling happens, I would imagine. Sort of, migratory, nomadic.
Resources shifting
Yeah.
all
I
the
also
time.
really like the idea of, to piggyback off the giver. I like the idea that some people are nomadic, and then maybe there are
Yes.
others that never leave where they
Yeah.
settle. They're born, they
Yeah.
stay there. And then there are just certain people that, it's their duty or, job or their role to play where they are nomadic. And so that can be a common thread that we all have, is that we are,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
for whatever reason, nomadic.
Yeah. Speaking about interstitial, liminal, I was just thinking about shifting sands, right? How with some like trees, mountains, roads, dunes change, right? Like dunes are not always the same shape because they also shift, right? The idea that there could be, thinking about like shifting, you find yourself there. The idea that sometimes solid things are not solid anymore. Like if we have solid and not solid, there is a twilight space in between those things. And so I think there's probably something about shifting scenery and kind of like a moments when reality becomes less, it's not a dream, it's not fixed, it's this moment where there's all this possibility, right?
Do you think our societal language is based around this idea of roads, but then also these spaces? So as soon as you said that, I thought, oh, we don't call being a teenager, we call it, or we call this time in between becoming a teenager and an adult, we would call that a twilight. I mean, like something like that. Because if our whole society is built around these idea of these different roads, and these different roads have names and meanings, then I think that's, that would make sense to me, that we
Yeah.
kind of have grown in that sort of way.
Which
So
then makes
interesting.
sense where the Twilight Road comes from, because it's actually
Mhm.
part of the way we speak, generally speaking, right? You're in your twilight time as a person, right? So you have twilight times as a human, or
Yes.
whatever we are, right?
Yeah. But it's not specifically related to just your age,
That's right,
right?
yeah.
Like if you're in a state where you're
Mhm.
in a transitory period
Mhm.
between jobs or
Mhm.
whatever, you might
Mhm.
say, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in twilight.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
you say
Yeah.
to kind of, well, careful, don't stay there too long or you might find yourself on Twilight Road,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, right. If you're too long in Twilight, then you find yourself on the Twilight Road.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yep.
there's like a whole thing about that. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And what does that mean? That implication is like, again, puts societal structure on, you need to have a decision. You need to know what it is that you want to do. You need to be in a job. You can't be in a state of transition, because if you're in a state of transition too long, then you're not growing. You're stagnant in your transitory state, which seems a little bit weird, but that's very cool. I'm very into that. Yeah.
Something that you brought up, like you're in your twilight, right? So I feel like there's something in that too with life and death.
Yeah. 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 Ooh.
The space between,
It's probably a philosophical conversation people have.
Yeah.
Where they're like, we're always in twilight until we're dead or we're born.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is twilight. And it's ridiculous that we even say don't stay in twilight too long.
Yeah.
That's my
But even what about like the ideas of like ghosts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
ooh, I wonder if that's a theory that people would have then. Ghosts are people stuck on the Twilight Road.
Yes.
They're stuck in Twilight. Yeah.
Yes.
But do they know it?
Ooh.
Also, if you're traveling on the road, are you stuck in Twilight too? So,
Yes.
Yeah.
we're all ghosts.
So then does that mean that my family sees me as a ghost? And I'm just stuck on walking this road, and it looks like I'm walking this road, but my family sees me as walking up and down the stairs
Or
every
to
night,
make it a little bit more fluid for storytelling, like you have a reality that's been made around you and you don't know that you're in it until it suddenly realizes that you're in it, like Sixth Sense.
Yeah. But I also think I would add on to that the idea that means that the nomads who travel have a kind of a tricky sort of status, right? Because if you travel on roads as what you normally do, you don't sit sort of in the place. That makes you almost a ghost, right? There's a metaphorical way of being a ghost, right? If people remember you or not. And I think that can lead to maybe a tension between those who've settled and those who move, because being settled is not necessarily better, because Twilight allows you to have possibilities. I think there's magic there in Twilight, right? That you don't have.
That's interesting too, because you could
sit
do
fixed.
like, how there are certain things that I think when you're in a community or something, you might, believe one thing, but then you've got like sailors who say, oh, I know you think that it doesn't make sense, but we know when the wind is blowing this way so I wonder if the people who actually do travel the roads know the Twilight Road exists. They believe in it because they're like, yep, we've lost too many people, or I know when the wind is just right, like it's more likely that I'm going to wander onto the Twilight Road. So they have like superstitions or methods in which they do, or rituals even that they do to prevent themselves from accidentally stumbling on the Twilight Road. Or maybe we go back on the idea that once you're on the Twilight Road, you're never seen from again. Maybe people say, I think I was on the Twilight Road, but I don't know for sure, maybe there are some stories like that where I was on for a second, but I realized right away and I got off before I was stuck.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, okay. I love that. Oh, love it.
So cool.
Oh, okay. What else is in our card?
Well, let me look at it again. Sorry, I was lost in thought.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It is very cool. After choosing the leads, discuss whether any are at crossroads in their life path or have unresolved hopes and fears. I'm going to take like 2 hours to answer that one.
Yep.
So we have to pick our leads. So for our lead card, each person portrays one primary character, which you define and depict in your scenes. And this character is the lead for that storyteller, and they hold the authority over the, like, this is your person, right?
Okay. And that's the list here on the left.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So we get to sort of decide basically which leads we want to be. We have these folks, right? We have at this moment we have the outsider, the renegade, the drifter, the runaway, the buddy, and the driver. Those are our leads. We do have,
Oh
however,
my
a
God,
requirement for
so
this
cool.
particular playset that somebody must be a driver.
Yeah. Jeez. That would imply that I just like show up, right? And I'm like on the road, or I don't
Mhm.
know, but also
Mhm.
I don't know if I want that responsibility because I feel like that person knows what's going on. And,
Or do they?
oh,
don't
Well, that's the
know.
thing. Is it more interesting that they don't know what's going on, that they are driving to a
Mhm.
destination that they
Mhm.
know not of? Like
Mhm.
that they're just instinctually being pulled to the destination is input, but they don't know what's there too. Like
yeah.
that's
Oh my
scary that you can't take your
God.
foot off
How
the
do I,
off the gas and you just got to keep going.
how do I look at the card without taking it?
Oh, just take it. Just pull it over, and then you can just right click on it and flip it over.
Oh, okay, perfect. I just
Yeah,
wanted to read
Do
it here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Equipment able to make it. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Take this card when you want a character who's a specialist at directing the functions of a machine or system. Oh my goodness gracious. That's so creepy. I love it.
I'm so excited.
I don't know. I don't know.
We
What in your
also
past
have.
should I read this out loud or
Yeah,
no?
read it out loud.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
And by the way, you'll end up taking that card because it's got things for you, right? You'll put it in the space for
Yeah.
yourself.
Well, I don't want to just immediately, but we should read these because I think
Yeah.
this is cool and it'll tell us more
Yeah.
about it. So let me just lean closer
Give us
so I
some
can actually read
information.
it.
Yeah, give us some
Sure.
information.
Okay. Ask together what particular expertise does this story need for an extraordinary driver, for a driver type character, and you would establish a truth around that. What in your past or personality led you to become such an obsessively expert driver? What are the limits of your mastery, such as what related skills do you not have sufficient expertise in, such that you need others to help you with, and what are those? Whoa, that's super cool. Are some of these other ones the buddy? Wait, what are the other ones that are required, or is it just
we
the
need
driver?
a driver. That's what we
Okay.
need.
Okay.
That is a requirement as to have a driver.
Ooh. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do we have? We've got
We also have here. I'll just read the cards and
read
then
it
I'll
to
read the
us,
first
if you
line
would.
for. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Sure. Okay. So we also have the outsider. You are a stranger in a strange land, either by choice or circumstance, and you are struggling to understand and adapt. Take this card when you want to portray a character outside of their comfort zone or who has left behind their home or a dangerous situation and is now exploring a new culture and way of life. Then we have the renegade. You're not afraid to break the rules. Are you a rebel with a cause or just a thrill seeker? Take this card when you want to portray a character who will bend or break the rules, is not afraid to offend or stand up against authority, and may have a criminal past. The drifter. You forge your own way, tied to nowhere and no one, or have your choices cut you off from the only thing that really matters. Oop, Troop's face. Troop wants to be the drifter. Okay, the runaway. You've left your past behind. Oh wait, I didn't read the other part of the drifter. I'm so sorry. Take this card when you're interested in playing a loner or a free spirit who struggles with issues of belonging, purpose, and independence. I'm gonna zoom in on this so I can read it better. Sorry. Okay. The runaway. You've left your past behind, or have you? Are you avoiding past responsibilities and actions you regret, or are you protecting yourself from and others from harm? Take this when you're interested in playing a character that is exploring the tension of guilt for leaving those behind versus new opportunities for personal growth, exciting adventures, and finding new friends and love. And the last one is the buddy. You are a comrade in arms, a friend to the end, ride or die, or are you just someone else's sidekick? You want to take this when you want to portray a character focused on camaraderie, friendship, mutual interests, and support. Wow, this is okay. This is super cool.
Okay.
Okay, so Trooper, quick question for you.
Yes.
What is the shortcut to let us actually like zoom in on these
You just click on the
cards?
item and then
Z.
press Z.
Oh, that would have. I
Oh,
should have
That's
done
it.
that.
I was doing like Alt Z. I
Oh,
was trying
man.
like a million different shortcuts here, blindly just smashing the thing. Thank you, PB, for actually zooming in and reading
I was doing the
everything.
Control Plus. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I get this to work. But yeah,
No,
Z
it
would have
just-
been. I
Okay.
should have done that.
Thank
That
you
would have
so
been way
much.
better.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Just the, you just got the, but also I need to reset my I need to do that. Because I pressed something and it got way too close and I was like, what?
Hmm.
I cannot see the thing. There we go. Although no, it's still really
So
close.
what's interesting about this
Mhm.
though is how does it apply to the way that we've described our Twilight
Mhm.
Road? Because I feel like
Mhm.
this is a more traditional
Mhm.
road trip and we're doing something a little weird, which is awesome, obviously.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
how do we
Al-
want to kind of
although-
twist these to make sure
yeah.
that they fit our version of the
I-
society that we've built?
Yeah.
I
I
also
think it
think
still works
in
though,
this
right?
in
Yeah,
this
oh yeah,
Twilight
absolutely.
Road too, like you could have a lot of different possibilities. Like
Yep.
like
Mhm.
as this profession things could also be an open door to a completely different situation.
Yeah.
Right, a transitory period. Like so,
Yeah.
not only are we going out, but other stuff can come in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it also allows me to play with the term of driver. What does driver
Yes.
it mean
Yeah.
exactly? It could literally mean, oh, I've spent a lot of time in a transitory period. Like I
Yes.
got this, like
Yeah.
You're
Or
you're the sorry, go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was
gonna
just thinking
say,
about like drivers, like the driver, like you have drivers of cattle, right? There are
Yeah.
cattle drivers. There are people who might be in a spaceship. Like I think there's like driver could be really thoughtful. Like, what are you driving? Right?
Yeah.
Are you driving?
Yeah, I
really
was just gonna
cool.
say,
Yeah, that's
in
so
chat,
cool.
like, have you ever been around somebody who's been tripping their ass off, and they have
Oh, yeah.
somebody like bring them back down to earth? It's
Yeah.
like a seer, a
Mhm.
shaman, if you will.
Yeah.
And you can like physically manipulate whatever you want around that, but a guide, a
Yeah.
Sherpa.
That's
Mm.
really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love this idea, but also to expand on it, it would be really cool to have a world like this and have a table, and then it's kind of like the secret Hitler game or the secret werewolf, where one person is the driver and you're trying to get people along the road to one destination, but no one knows that you're the driver. That's pretty cool. Like, oh, I'm trying to guide you along somewhere, and it could be good or bad, who knows? But yeah, that's an interesting thought as well. But yeah,
Especially if
okay,
it's
I
like a
like that.
metaphorical driver too. Like it says, like if
Mhm.
you know the functions of a machine or system, and of course, system can also be sociological,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see what do we do with that one. Let's see. Let me think. These are all really interesting. So we're going to be on the Twilight Road. We have somehow found our way there in various ways. And then who do we want to be?
I think if it's okay, I would love
Yeah.
to try the drifter.
Do it. Absolutely.
Okay. I'm gonna steal that card.
Steal it. Take it. And then, of course, you've got things in the back. You've got like moves and whatnot on the back. Moves like PBTA moves.
Oh, not like forearm and like moonsault. Okay.
I mean, you could do that too. I don't judge you. Oh
Oh,
gosh.
cold stunner.
I think I would be interested in being the runaway. I think. Yeah.
Cool.
I think that would be really interesting. I think I want to be the runaway, and I'm going to sort of take this over here because when we take our card, we have some questions to answer amongst ourselves. What else we got?
Gonna throw it out there. I would also be okay doing renegade or outsider in case you would like to be the driver or the shaman or the guide. Just throwing it out there. Okay.
I'm okay with chaos, so I can, if there's something that you want, take it.
Okay.
And I
Because
can
I
roll
got so
dice.
excited about the driver, and then I felt immediately
Yeah.
guilty because
No,
I
don't
got
feel
all
guilty.
excited, and I was
Feel
like,
no
I got so
guilty.
excited that no one's gonna feel comfortable being like, I would also like to do that thing.
I'm stoked that you got excited for the
yeah.
thing that we need as a group.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right.
So when we take up our cards, if you notice, there are some questions there.
Mhm.
So
And I can
mine
press Z and
says,
actually read them.
yes, Z is the way to go. What kind of runaway are you? It says heartbreaker, outcast, truant, fugitive, exile, refugee, deserter, and establish a truth. Okay, so
Which one's the one to ask together for yours?
that's my ask together.
Okay.
What
Okay.
kind of runaway am I? I would say that I am I am from the settled places. And I'm not an exile, I'm not a refugee, I'm not a deserter. Somebody might think of that. I think it's more like I'm not an outcast either. I suppose deserter is the best way to phrase it, but I think that I don't believe in the settled spaces, right? I think that I spent my whole time in the settled spaces, the settlements. And that is the safe and the good space. That's the better place because the outside space is not good. But I just don't think I believe it. And I think that I needed to, probably without enough preparation, I think I needed to go and I needed to actually see what was out there.
Question.
Yeah.
Because of the way that we've built the world, did you make the conscious choice to leave? Or is this a surprise?
No, I made the conscious choice to leave, but I did not make the conscious choice to go on the Twilight Road.
Okay. Awesome.
I wanted to go out into the world, and I ended up on the Twilight Road, but I was not intending
is your
that.
first travel experience
Yes.
oh wow.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I also just don't think I believe in the Twilight Road. I think that's silly.
Yeah, you don't believe in it, but also this is your first road, so you wouldn't know, and then everybody else around you might be nervous and scared, and you're like, I don't understand. What's the big that's cool. That's fun.
Yeah, and I don't think I ever did since it's my first travel, I don't think I know the travel protocols. I think they're like travel things that you do when you travel, like, touching a tree or a piece of salt, those kinds of things
like
that you do.
grounding techniques?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. I think they're like these grounding techniques, and I just don't think I did not know them. Because I do not think that I don't think I was ever expected to leave. I think I had a pretty nice life, and but I thought that it was, like the ones who walk away from Omelas kind of a thing. I was like, I think I need to walk away from this and go somewhere else. And I think that that's not where I ended up. I ended up on the Twilight Road. And I must establish a truth about my lead to demonstrate the tensions, such as how I'm haunted by a past mistake, how someone left behind causes me emotional pain, or a previous face that is now hidden. Okay.
Ooh.
So I think what it is that I have a previous face that is now hidden.
Is it yours or somebody else's?
I refuse to have this face. I never wanted it. And I am leaving so I don't have to have it. And I don't want anyone to know about it. I think that I was the eldest child for the mantle of leadership. And I do not think I wanted any of that. But it wasn't that I didn't want the responsibility, but that I think it's fake. Like, I think all of this is hollow, and I don't want to be that. Like, the face, I think it's just, I don't believe in it. And I wasn't going to live that life. And so I left it. But I think that my name is famous, right? Do you know what I mean? Like the name, the position, right? The position that I would embody. Like, you have a giver, you have these things. I think the position that I would embody is a famous one. And I don't think that's a thing I want people to know, because then they would not see me I'm running away from that, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like the air. Do you know what I mean? Like I think my previous face
Yeah.
was the air. Yeah. That's
That's
mine.
fun.
I think being an air is weirdly religious in these settled spaces, right? I think there's kind of like a, like, kind of mystical thing that that was like very old and like weird hats. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's like a lot of like ceremony around these things, and I'm like, I just can't. Like, I can't. It's like ridiculous, right? I think there's that. It's that kind of thing. And I'm young, a little too idealistic in that way.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
To you all, one of y'all.
Trying to choose a card, man.
I will go while you're
Please.
choosing the card then. Okay.
For
For
sure.
the driver, we want to ask, what particular expertise does this story need for an extraordinary driver? Trucking, racing, piloting, navigation. I think we actually already said it would be some sort of guide or
Navigation, right?
navigator. Maybe
Yeah.
I actually really like that idea rather than a guide, because I think a guide would imply that I either know or don't know things about how we
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah.
And I think navigator is interesting because I can have my little sextant and compass or whatever the versions of those things are. And I
Yeah.
could maybe be like, I don't know where we are, and then have the choice
Yeah.
to hide it from you. Or,
Yeah.
it just gives me room to play of like, I
Yeah.
think I know where we are, but I don't want to say it because
Yeah.
saying it makes it real.
We should apparently do the truths on the road that'll help us with this idea, but I think we probably have some of them already.
Yeah.
But what is our road and how do we travel it?
I think it's probably a mix between both the physical experience as well as like the spiritual or emotional experience, because I think I like the idea that you do those grounding techniques to stay on the road, like the idea that you're touching a tree, or you say, I'm saying out loud the 6 colors that I'm seeing, and I'm touching textures, and like that's helps you stay on the road.
Yeah.
And like once you're on the once you're on the Twilight Road or any of these roads that we travel, these things that we do, or these rituals that we perform to keep on the road and to find our way, do you give those up when you're on the Twilight Road in hopes that you, like, do you want to get lost? Do you want to get off the road? Like, what do you do with all that? But I also like the idea that it's when when you finally decide what it is that you want to do. When you decide, I don't want to be an air, and I am actually willing to get rid of all of that, and I mean it, and I want to go somewhere else, then you find your exit off the road. But also some other things as well, right? You can't just, mentally get your way out of the matrix, as it were. You got to kind of like, you got to do some physical stuff too.
Yeah.
So
So so we're thinking of it being like a path, right? Like I mean, it's both, right? There's like a non-corporeal overlay, right? That you
yeah, for sure. I kind of was imagining, obviously, like a road, ironically the road in your background, but like a road where you're kind of on this pathway, and maybe you're hearing a brook, and you're walking along the road, but then you turn the corner and all of a sudden it's a desert. It's like one of those weird roads where it's almost like you're in a dream state. And what you're hearing doesn't always match what you're seeing or feeling. I think there are probably some rumors or legends about this place where it's like you might see, there's a raven or something like that people have mentioned or talked about, and it's, you cross, but like maybe we're walking along and we turn and we see, and it's like a carving in a mountain, or a mountain that looks like a raven, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, is that what they're talking about? It's not necessarily specifically a raven that's on the road, or maybe it is. Maybe you see a raven kind of hop across the road and you're like, wait a minute, and it's just all these things. But then there's this idea that the audience gets to play with: are they manifesting the road?
Yeah.
Like, they could not even be on the Twilight Road, but they're sitting here convincing themselves that they're on this road, and then that puts them in a transitory emotional state. So
Yeah.
that's interesting to play with too.
Yeah.
And I will note there's a rule here that when you take up the card, it is your card, and then you can use the moves on it. And when you want to make that card available to others, you can set it as that's what's called setting aside. So like Billy, the Twilight is yours at the moment, so you can do the things on it. And when you want to sort of pass it on to others, you can set it aside. So there's a way in which these sort of elements are things that we get to sort of have and then move around, which I think is very cool. Just to,
Also, there's a lot of what you described there has reminded me a lot of like Inception.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And dream spaces.
And the grounding.
Yeah. I like the idea that all of the roads are like that, though. It's not just Twilight.
Yeah.
So when we're traveling, it's like we're going into this liminal space and then we're coming back, but there are just like certain roads that are more dangerous to travel than others, and in danger, not just like danger, scary danger. Like maybe there's a road, maybe the Sun Road is incredibly euphoric and you just never want to leave. You know, so there's just some roads where you're like, "Ooh, I don't, you know, don't do that, or don't stay too long, or you know."
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Like maybe one of the navigating things that I can have as a truth is that's just it. You got to get on when you're on a road. You do your grounding, you find your thing, and you get off. You don't linger, no matter what road it is. Otherwise, you have the potential of wandering to a different road or whatever. It's like you can't be in a state of that transitory. You have to know your destination, and there can be no doubt.
Yeah.
You have to know where you want to go.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh. Doubt.
Yeah.
Definitiveness. Yeah. 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 So is the road, we ask, is where does our road lead? And I understand that we're gonna have to answer two questions, like answer this in two different ways, I think, right? Home, adventure, a treasure, and answer, a monster, and escape.
I think it can be all of those things. If you
you don't really know until.
Mechanically speaking, does it have to have something, or can it actually be that open?
Oh, I think it's both, right? I think that there are physical roads that we have to travel. Some people never travel, right? To get things from point A to point B, water, food. Like I think that there are things that need to be moved, right? And that's the thing about the nomads, that they're the people who move through the roads. I'm thinking about like medieval roads being quite dangerous. But the problem is that it's always very easy to slip off of that road, which has an actual physical destination, and that's not the only destination, right? The destination might be a different community, but also a new you, right? Like these things happen.
Yeah.
Like that there's a way in which like if you slip onto one of these other roads, all of a sudden your destination is now a different destination, right? And if you can keep yourself grounded, then you get to go to like the physical destination. That's the regular road. That's great. And now people on that other road have medicine or whatever it is that they have to have. But
do you think we're couriers?
Yes, I think couriers are important.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's kind of cool. Yeah. That would be like almost this renowned, like legendary thing that heroes of this nomadic culture or like non-nomadic culture, right? The nomads are the ones that are currying one thing to another, whether it's information, stories, or actual physical medicine and stuff like that. That's so all kind of sort of famous in a way, and then you're famous in the actual structured culture, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And I feel like there's always the it's a double road, right? Like the liminal person can be famous like the cowboy, but then also people don't trust cowboys in certain ways, right?
Yeah.
Right. That kind
of so good.
It's that liminal space, right? Like you are both like this heroic figure that can go off into the world that people dream about, but also
no one actually wants to do it.
It's also a little scary. like you're a little too close. Right.
Yeah.
To the slippages. Yeah. Is the road well known and mapped, hidden or lost? If we leave the road, can we return?
think we sort of kind of answered those questions for
Yeah.
the most part. And
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with the way we
Yeah.
left unanswered, because
Yeah.
that we can find out and
Absolutely.
play, I think.
I also like the
anyway.
idea that the actual physical material roads are also unmapped and shifting, right? So that
Yep.
there's like these metaphorical shifting roads, but the also actual physical roads
Yeah.
are also shifting, right? That's actually that the ground we live in is not a very, it's a shifting space, right? Like I think we live in
that's super cool.
a world that itself is already liminal, right? That's always shifting. We live in like the world itself is Twilight. Like we don't live on Earth. We live in a place that,
imagine.
yeah.
Oh, back in 1957 when Chicago was on the East Coast, I did this, blah, blah,
Yes.
blah. That's so
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
Oh my
Stop it.
gosh.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes. That's, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, Chicago was never on the East Coast or whatever. It's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. And
Yeah.
then you've got this whole community of
Yeah.
these nomadic travelers or couriers, basically.
Yeah.
That it's like truckers. We're like
Yeah.
truckers in
Yeah.
a way, and we
Yeah.
have our own way of communicating
Yeah.
to each other, and
Yeah.
and we have to keep track. And it's like, oh wait, this should be here according to my
Yeah.
map. It's not, so it must have
Yes.
moved. Does anybody know
Yes.
where the 7-Eleven on the like
Yes.
here went?
Yes.
Like no
What
one
if
knows.
Cartography must be difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
in the Twilight Road, like people can travel on, but it also sucks in locations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
I love that. So like,
Yes.
does anybody know where the 7-Eleven went? And if we can't find it within a certain amount of time, people go, oh, the Twilight Road ate it. You know, like when you lose a pen and you're like, where is it? There's nowhere else it could be.
I like the idea that it could also like pop up later. It's like, oh, come back later. It might be here.
Yeah.
Which feels kind of like the
Ooh,
warp
that's
in
super cool.
40K.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
like
Oh,
liminal, like magical space that tears, that you could access it through various tears in reality.
Mhm.
And planets can go in and out of, and people can live in and live out of, and
Yeah.
people draw on it for things.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I also like the idea that there's something that makes the couriers not just couriers, but also explorers.
Yeah.
And mapping has to be done in your mind. That's what I think. I think that what makes somebody a driver, what makes somebody really good, I think, is that they can remember multiple realities that are overlaid on each other at the same time, so that you can like, right? Like, because how else can you
super cool?
like how else can you
I
map
can't play a
this way?
character with a memory.
Road awareness. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. 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 Right. Because like I think that's the thing. You have to be able to remember that actually, no, you said that Chicago's never on the East Coast, but it was, and I remember it. I remember it being there and not being there.
Yeah.
Like that is the thing that can help you.
This is interesting too,
Oh my
because
gosh.
your driver is not just somebody that can hold double think with these realities, but also somebody that can judge where it's going to be based on the signs of what's happening around it.
It's more like a navigator using the stars kind of.
Yeah, man. And you go, okay, I see there are pine trees, and I know they weren't there last time, so I think it's about to slip, and it's going to shift somewhere else, and I'm 90% sure it's going to be over here. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's that.
Yes.
Okay, I love that.
Flight of the Navigator. Yes.
Okay. Marcus, Billy, we need to know about your give us your Ask Togethers.
Yeah, absolutely. I will, I'm not stalling because instead of unmuting myself, I didn't just open up Photoshop and Premiere Pro. So I am waiting because my screen is being taken over by the startup screen.
Oh no.
But I am playing the Drifter. And
I'll read it for you if you need.
Yes, that would be it's taken a minute. I apologize.
Sure, no worries. Okay, where did the Drifter go?
Oh, I took it. I'm actually I have closed it.
Yep.
I am safe. I am good. Okay.
Okay.
Ready to go. The Drifter. You forge your own story, your own way, tied down to nowhere and no one, or have your choices cut you off from the only things that really mattered. Take up when you're interested in playing a loner or a free spirit who struggles with the issues of belonging, purpose, and independence. Now, here's the Asked Together portion. What kind of drifter are you? A gun for hire, traveling salesman, freelancer, rail rider, or what keeps you from settling down? Go ahead.
I have an offer for you. What
Please.
if to have a good navigator, you need somebody that can just go, it's that way, and they believe it or they just know, or they're like that independent thinker, that person that is like, I don't listen to the rules. So, like you need them both. You can't just have a navigator. You need somebody that can forage the way, or be like, we're going left and it'll work out because I
Okay.
said it will, that kind of thing of, yeah, I don't know. I just think we might be able to relate all of our roles to
Yeah.
how we travel. So it might be fun.
Yeah.
Which makes me think that perhaps part of the danger with the runaway, not with the runaway themselves, but actually the people who live in the settlements, that if the shifting realities are in some ways intertwined with the minds, the thinking process of people traveling. If you do not have a traveling thinking process, that could be bad, not just for you, but for
your companions,
for the traveling, right? Especially if
Yeah.
things get lost and taken up into the Twilight Road or the Sun Road and coming back. Then if you have somebody whose mind is too rigid, right? I think that's the problem. That if a person's mind is too rigid, it can stabilize these roads in ways that are actually not good.
Oh,
right?
that's really
Ooh.
good. That's really good, because then that would imply that, Marcus could play a character that is either the gun for hire, or somebody that's like looking out for the dangers on the road, but also the dangers are your brain and how you think critically, right? And then you're playing a character that's like, I don't believe in that. I can hold similar to the navigator who can hold multiple realities and the memory of the way that things were. You've got Marcus playing a character who can believe multiple things at once. And go, okay, so if the woods are bending this way, that means, I'm just using an example, like gravity goes up or something like that, where he's like, now I know the terrain and this is, but I'm able to believe in multiple things at once, so I can kind of protect us. Like, it's a protector role. And the navigator's the guide role, the explorer.
I like this because this also keeps true with kind of one of the thoughts I had when I pulled up this character. This gives me, I was kind of trying to look like a traveling salesman. I was thinking something like that, but maybe a freelancer, because I am a drifter. I do not want to settle down. I do travel a lot. Maybe this is what I'm here for. Maybe, but if we're so have we decided, are we drawn to this? Do we just wind up here, or are we on a conscious destination? Because this is going to help me pick. I can't remember exactly where we landed on this.
I think that we went around a bit, but I think that we kind of decided that we're all nomadic in our culture. We're couriers of some sort. We're delivering something, or this is just like in our culture, this is what we do. This is our role, but we don't plan to be on the Twilight Road. So we're probably intending to go somewhere, whether it's together or separate. And then all of a sudden we're slowly learning that we're not on the road we thought we were on.
That sounds that I would like to go with the freelancer option, where this is kind of my goal is to be the second person here, like this, like you said, who can help keep an eye, who's had the experience also of being on a lot of different roads.
I I feel like there's a danger, by the way, and this is like I think a cultural danger, and it's about like the loss of wonder. If really rigid people start traveling, then I think you might lose the malleability of our world.
Wow. We're writing this world, right? After. I want to read about this. What is this?
That concept is so strong.
Cool.
Right? Which means, for example, it's good that people who live in these settled spaces don't travel. They often don't want to, but if they did, it would remove the twilightness of the world on outside of the cities, right? Because roads themselves are these spaces that are in between, and it's like gentrification and encroachment, right? If you just
That's what happened at Atlantis. Sorry, we lost Atlantis because people, someone traveled that shouldn't have been traveling, or someone's traveled that shouldn't have been traveling. That's super cool.
Which then also means people in the cities often don't want to travel, but then they often are not allowed to travel.
Yeah, they're straight. I agree. They're not allowed to travel. And if they are allowed to travel, you need to be with a courier team or, a navigator and a bunch of people.
Permit. Is this runaway?
Permits. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is the runaway allowed to travel, or did the runaway sneak on?
I snuck out.
I think
I snuck out. Because I don't think they would ever let me travel because I was the heir. And that is too dangerous.
That's right.
From the inside, it's too dangerous.
In Aladdin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
It's
also
too
think from the
dangerous. Yeah, from the outside. I agree with you completely because all the stuff you learned in order to become an heir would create that stabilization of the world outside that we don't want. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. This is
Yeah.
so cool.
Like world stabilization is really bad for people who don't live in those cities. And I think it's bad for people who do live in the cities, but they just don't know it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that people in the cities would think that stabilization is bad, but it's not good.
Billy, have you chosen your thing yet? Because
We need to know.
I have an idea.
What's your idea?
Well, okay, so it depends. Are you leaning towards one or the other? Because I have one for each one, I think.
I know, but I like your brain, so I want to
Okay.
hear what you have in your brain.
Okay, so if we've got a navigator and if we've got, basically a protector who's got that, then we need somebody who potentially either the outsider who kind of travels the roads, but is that safety net experience of like, okay, you're navigating, but I'm here to keep you in check. I'm here to make sure that you don't start to believe something or you don't start to destabilize the road. You're like the gardener of the road itself or the roads, the space of the traveling. And in that way, it makes you an outsider. You're more like that hippie archetype that's like, oh yeah, the roads are great. And you're just like chill with the road. You're one with the road and the traveling experience. And you are literally there to make sure that we don't mess up or make the world stable. Yeah.
So like, yeah, I see. So the purveyor of the natural world of this Twilight.
And the natural world is like a little bit chaotic and liminal and transitory. And, the things are shifting and don't panic because that just means that it's gone. But it'll find its way, you're kind of just like, I mean, you could do that role in so many different ways. You could be a more rigid, like, nope, you can't, you need to do your grounding techniques or whatever, that kind of like almost like a medic in a way. But the medic of the road and the reality versus of the people, like your priority could potentially be the space and not the people on it, which is cool.
So, and one of the things I was thinking about too was going with the buddy, but instead of the buddy being attached to a character, being attached to
the
place.
road.
Yeah. That's cool.
Okay. So you could be attached to the road itself, or you could be looking for a space that you saw once upon a time. That was like, that's your Mecca, right? Because you were saying that most of these travel stories have a great Mecca.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's something that either you've been there, you know how to get there and you protect it, or there's so much that you could do. This is so cool. This world is awesome. It needs to exist.
I love this idea that the worst thing is actually stability.
Yeah.
Because then things have stopped changing, right? That's actually not good.
And so I think go ahead.
The challenge is that you're playing characters so we've kind of come full circle, because before we were like, you don't want to be in a state of transitory, otherwise you wind up on the road and blah, blah, blah. But what if it's actually the reverse? The people who are strongest are the people who are like, yeah, man, it's all good. I'm flowing from one state to the next, literally, but also emotionally. And I'm not too rigid. I'm not too firm on my beliefs. I could totally be wrong. Yesterday, I thought the sky was blue, but you know what? Who knows? And that just as an actor, the challenge of playing, like every role you ever take, you got to go, okay, what are my core beliefs? What are my core, and now you're playing a character that you're just like, I can't have any of that.
And
I gotta just move from one to the next. That's so cool.
I think that's the big social tension, right? I think all the things we said about like, oh, you can't go out there because the road, it'll like suck you up and it's all bad. That's what the people in the settled spaces think. That is the way that society thinks about the Twilight Road, that it, like, if you get on it, then you never come back. It's this terrible thing, right?
And we think it's like surfing. We're like, this is the best experience ever. And I can end up here, or I know here. And the worst thing for all of us, probably on some level, is the idea of settling down into one stasis. That's right.
Yeah. And I think that these things are probably both right in certain ways, like, because if you get on the wrong road, it may not actually be good for you, right? But like,
But then that means that Billy can play with this idea of either being this like caretaker of the space, this gardener, or you could also lean into the idea of balance. And that's what makes you the outsider, because you don't fit into the settlers, the stasis, and you don't fit into the absolute flow. You're like, there's got to be a middle ground where you are, there are moments of stasis and there are moments of things. And then, there's just a group of these outsiders or these gardeners or whatever it is that you're
People in the
caretaking
middle.
of the road and the space that are in the middle. And that's what makes you on the outside.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things was I was trying to find a way to play the buddy card without having an attachment to one of you all. And I think the best way to do that is to play the outsider doing this thing.
Oh,
Yep.
Because that way there's not a mechanical attachment.
Yeah.
I'm not dictated by the cards that I have to be, but I can still fulfill that overall. So like fucking
you
great
could
job,
do an
PB.
attachment to the space though too, I think. I don't know.
I think so
I gotta
too.
look at the card. But if you were really interested, I think you could play it either way.
Yeah.
What
that's
are
why.
Yeah.
Oh,
You did look at your
man.
moves, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, where are the moves? Are they on the
On the
other
back
side
side.
of the card?
Back of the
Flip
card.
side,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. How do I flip the card over?
Right click and then flip card.
Dude, I think the buddy is the move
Yeah.
for this role that we're speaking of.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man. There's like so much to play in this, like the world that we've built in the matter of an hour. There's just so much, like even this buddy role where you can be like, a buddy to the space or the road, a buddy to a person, but you can't be too buddy because you you don't get to see this person again. Maybe you've seen them a couple times. Like how does time even work in this space? If places are shifting, time must be shifting as well. And so all of us travelers are like, the worst thing in the world is to experience 1955 forever. We want to move around and do all these things. Like, why on earth would we want to be stable or in stasis? And they look at that going like, but how do you make a home? How do you have friends? How do you have relationships? And it's like, well, we just understand that everything, even on a molecular level, is transitory. And that's cool. Sorry, I'm so into this, y'all. I'm like,
There's
is
this
so
idea
cool.
about being a buddy. This, like, what would it mean to be a buddy in a Twilight way, right? That means like that you could be a buddy not of no one or of this one person or of everyone, but of like a concept, right? Like you're the buddy of a traveler, and different people may become a traveler at different times, which means you become like you could, like, it's a kind of a I know it's a weird thing to think, but I think about, when you have like when you meet somebody who's like your therapist or your massage therapist or somebody who has like this really intense relationship with you, but it's not exactly you. Do you know what I mean? Like it's this kind of it's a very weird middle space, that relationship you have with somebody who you're not a stranger and you're not just an acquaintance. It's actually sometimes very close.
Or a paramedic, or
a paramedic,
that, like somebody that sees you at a very intense time. Helps, maybe even saves your life, and then you never see them again. Very cool.
Like it's a weird buddiness. Like it's not the kind of buddy that you would think in other ways, right? Like, oh, we're best friends for life. It's actually different.
Or even just your travel buddy, right? Like grab a buddy and don't let them out of your sight, because otherwise you're oh man.
Vibe wise from this whole thing, I'm getting very much, is a weird thing to compare to, but the flying carpet from Aladdin or Doctor Strange's cape vibes.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Like who implicitly knows the world, but is extremely limited in how he can communicate it.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. Okay. Have we all got our characters? We all got our faces and asked our questions? Okay. We now, I believe, need our approaches to get that all deepened out, I believe. So we have our character. We need, I believe, to look over at these approaches: brash, careful, charming, fast, handy, shady.
And it's one for each?
Yep.
Okay, I picked first last time, so I'll take last this time.
Okay. That's fair.
Thank you, PB. That's very fair of you. Though I think you picked very well last time, so no notes
I
there.
agree. I agree. Let's see. Yeah, we get a trait.
Browsing through them right now. Sorry, I'm not
Mhm.
talking. I'm so curious.
So we've got.
You browse. I'll read them for the audience.
Oh,
How's that?
Excellent.
Cool, because I'm going to pick last anyway. Okay,
Yes.
all right. So
And I'm-
we have brash. You take risks, act impulsively, and say what's on your mind. Consequences be damned. Take this when you want a character who's bold, daring, and sometimes behaves inappropriately to challenge social norms or conventions. Then we have careful. If I can grab it, there we go. Only fools rush in. True success comes from meticulous plans and calculated risks, not reckless heroics. Take this when you want to play a lead who favors managing risks and staying in control, exploring how that contrasts with their bold life as a lead. That's kind of cool. Okay, charming. Especially considering what we know about the world, right?
Yeah,
Anybody who takes
yeah.
that's a challenge. Okay. Charming. Leverage charisma, connections, or social skills to solve problems, or get someone else to solve them for you. Take this when you want a highly social character whose scenes flavor dialogue and interaction. That's all of us. Fast. For you, it's always a race. So take the lead. Don't look back. Damn the torpedoes. Take this when you want a character who's agile, nimble, or relies on reflexes and likes being a winner. Handy. You prefer to actively manipulate in order to see the problem. Does this curiosity to find a fix, invent a tool, or hack put you in harm's way? Considering what we've built in this world, that's very interesting.
That's
as
a
well.
really good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Take this when you want a character who chooses to be hands-on, to tinker or hack or break and fix things in order to understand them. That's kind of cool. Like, you know what just popped into my brain is Marcus being like, oh, I have to taste the river to know where the heck I am.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah,
That's such a weird thing to do, but being like,
Yeah.
I just need to physically know, instead of just looking at the stars. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last one is shady. The direct approach is rarely the most interesting. Instead, let others play by the rules. Take this when you want a character who chooses to be sly, works outside the law, or favors indirect or illicit approaches. Very cool.
Oh, okay. Okay. I am feeling personally that I could go with either charming or fast. I feel like the character I do not think the character would have been typified as being brash, because I think that this is the first time they did it, which is how they were able to do it. But I think that they were very well behaved, right?
Yeah.
For a long time. And then they decided, I think it was a surprise for a lot of people that this happened.
So you let people, I thought you were going to go shady because you're not letting people know that
Yeah. Yes. No, I think you're right.
That's actually perfect.
Right?
That's perfect.
Yeah.
You're pretending.
Yeah.
So my question then is, are you pretending to be a traveler? Like that you're just, or are you going to be upfront like, oh, I'm a runaway. I don't know how I got here. Or are you going to be trying to pretend to fit in?
Yeah.
Either of those are fun.
Yeah. So I think what I will say is I think that most of their life, their shadiness was about pretending to fit in.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
That
it
was
doesn't
how
necessarily mean, and you're working outside the laws of which are don't go, don't go on the road.
But I think
get
that this
a role and that's it for you.
But I think this becomes tricky. Like, how do you manage if your whole life, what you did was to pretend to fit in?
Yeah.
What do you do when that's not? What does that mean when I don't know what this fitting in is, right? So in what ways is my character shady? I think my character has never been honest, right?
Yeah, that's so hard. Yeah.
Right? Has never been honest, but dreamed of honesty. Like somehow imagines that out there is where like true things happen somehow, right? Like that.
That's such a powerful thing in a world. In a world where there's nothing stable.
Yeah.
What's true then in a world where you can turn a corner and there's
Yeah.
now a lava pit instead
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
The instability is the truth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that somehow the instability is truth, and so that is the thing. And so I think that it's just basically a lack of honesty is really what it comes down to. And I also think this is going to be weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it says in there like ways in which you're shady, immoral, right? I actually think, because I'm really inspired right now, because I've been thinking about Ursula K. Le Guin and the ones that walk away from Omelas. I think that their shadiness is actually their morality. That in a way that they came to see the settled spaces as immoral. And so that the breaking of all of these things was about leaving, right? This sort of
Yep.
place. So I have to establish a truth to demonstrate a limitation, such as someone who knows too much about my past, who, or someone who's suspicious of your evasiveness and deceit, why. I think I'm passing myself off as a common traveler who's
Yeah.
on like a fairly sort of mundane travel that, you know,
You have a fake permit.
yeah, I have a fake permit, but I
Yeah.
also think like, well, I've traveled before. I'm like nobody special. And I think, Marcus, your character is the regulator, if I recall, yes?
I am the drifter.
Yes, but or maybe it's Billy, because one of you is the one who sort of
I
tries
was
to
gonna
keep.
say I
It's Billy,
think
yeah.
Billy might know that or
Who-
suspect that you've never been out here before.
Right. Yeah, I think that you're suspicious, right? And I think that there's something untrue, right, about the way I walk through roads, because I don't know how to walk through roads, and I feel like that is really suspicious, right? I think there's something like there's
Yeah.
just something off about perhaps a little bit of too much stasis in my thinking, even though I don't want it. Like there's just something like I think I'm framing myself very much so, right, about being free and open, right? But I think yeah. I will note that I set aside this card when I must stop being sly in order to make a commitment, or I betray someone or something I love, or need to atone or seek forgiveness for my actions. That's when I set aside this card.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And someone else might take it up.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think, Billy, if you don't mind, I feel like if you know the road so well, I feel like you're suspicious of the way that I move through the road.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe you think I'm dangerous, perhaps, right? I don't think I'm dangerous in any way, right? I think I'm like the least dangerous and like the most giving and caring, I think, right? But I think that you see a danger in the way that I think if you walk, like imagine like if you're like, you know, you're on a hallucinogen and like there are like trails, right? Like I feel like when you walk, there are ripples that move when you walk through space, and some people can see them, some people cannot. And I think that the kinds of mind you have, if you have not the right mind, the ripples you leave that sort of move out can be too stabilizing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It actually has me thinking how we all travel on this road. You
Mhm.
know, like the idea that somebody needs tactile, like to be tasting trees and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That's interesting. The
Yeah.
idea that the navigator is looking at the environment externally. It's not
Mhm.
based on a sensation.
Mhm.
And then you've got, you know, potentially somebody or like Billy that it's instinct where he's just like, nope, something's wrong. Or, you know, this is just the way of things. And I don't need to try to look at the
Mhm.
stars and the alignment to try to
Mhm.
remember in my memory map of where I'm going. Like I just know where I am and it's right here. That's
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
my approach.
Mhm.
I've got some cool moves, by the way.
Cool.
Good.
I haven't looked at any of that. I'm just like,
Mm,
we'll figure it out as we
yeah,
go.
I just did. I was like, oh, I can do that. Interesting.
I think I am going to, if it's okay, I think I'm going to go with handy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Is that the one that's tactile?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super awesome. Yep.
Yeah.
You prefer to actively manipulate in order to see the problem. Does this curiosity find the fix, invent a tool, or hack put you in harm's way? Probably. The answer is probably. Take up when you want a character who chooses to be hands-on, tinker hack, or break and fix things to understand them. Ask together.
Yeah.
In what ways is your character handy? Mechanic, hacker, crafter, tinker, inventor, magician? Where is your workshop? Establish a truth.
Oh,
I mean,
Okay.
essentially, I would imagine the workshop would be the road. I would probably have
Yep.
to have my tools with, like, I
Oh.
probably have my tools with
yeah,
me.
like you have a tool belt.
I am a lifelong unsettler. So
Yeah.
I'm traveling back and forth. I have my tools with me because
Mhm.
this is a job to be on the road, to help navigate, to help pull stuff. So I guess the workshop would be the road, if that's cool.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah.
road with
Yep.
a some kind of toolbox of some kind
Yeah.
of chest.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the idea that you also have a device that only you know how to operate. Like only people of your skill set know how to use this thing.
Yeah. Awesome.
That makes you very handy.
Could you establish a truth that about the world that you know because of your handiness? Because I want to know what you would say, because I feel like it's going to be amazing. Like that you travel the road this way and you make these things, that there's something about the world. I'd like you to establish a truth from that perspective about our world.
Yeah. If you are actually going the wrong way, it's good to stop and get a handful of water, even if it's melted snow. Taste it. If the flavor profile is purple, then you know you are going the wrong way. If it sounds complicated, then you just have to taste it yourself.
Dude, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. Okay. I'm into it.
Okay, so there's also establish a truth and demonstrate a limitation, such as your meddling, things that got you in over your head. What, or how others think of you, oddball, unproductive, or a time waster. Who? I think I'm going to go with the what. My meddling, my various travels, the work that I take up every now and then. I maybe fell in with a grifter of some kind, and that may have resulted in me taking a job that resulted in a burning of a bridge or two, literally or figuratively. It's better to stay on the road. Probably both. Very likely both. 100% both. Another good reason to not stop.
By the way, my truth is that you actually do impact the places outside of settled spaces as you walk through them based on your mindset. So that I could imagine somebody who's like really rigid and who's in stasis, who's very stasis. If they walk through a forest, you could see the impact on the trees around them, that the trees stop changing. Like they become like ossified. Do you know what I mean? Like trees, things move, and all of a sudden, if one of those real, the leader of that place walked through this place, it would stop moving, and you could see it, the tracks behind them, fixing this space, you know what I mean? It's a right, and that place would then never move again, like it died or was frozen, right? Just by your moving with that mindset through space. That's what I think. Yeah.
And then yes, so that is the end of that one. Set aside when I no longer have the urge to tinker or no longer have a skill to use in the latest tools. But that will be it for that. Thank you.
Billy or PB?
I'll go last. Billy, do you have one that you're leaning towards?
From experience with the world, it's either fast or careful.
Okay.
Just because fast with instincts, right?
Yeah.
And careful because he's either the person to react fast based off of instinct or the person to know enough to thread the needle, to have things in this plane align, oh yes, this is shifting, but wait just another second, it'll be prime traversing until just now, and now we go.
I love that, because part of the world that we established before was don't stay on one road particularly too long. Make sure you get to your destination. But even that alone means you have to be solid in your idea of where you're going.
Yeah.
And if you're
Yep.
playing the character that is like, hey guys, you got to have a middle ground. You can't be completely transitory. You can't be, then that makes sense for you to go, hold on, wait just a second. Don't rush off yet. There's the road, you know, like that's cool. But
Yeah.
also instinct of like, get off the road quickly. Either one I think fits really well.
Yeah.
And I think I'm feeling experience and age, so I'm thinking careful.
Okay.
So good.
Okay. So I'm reading this.
So good.
True success comes from meticulous plans and calculated risks, not reckless heroics. You want to play a lead who favors managing risks and staying in control, exploring how that contrasts with their bold life as a lead. Asked together. In what way is your character careful? I think we just discussed that.
Yeah.
Establish a truth. I think the truth that this particular character has is that through experience and inference, right, he has a high probability of predicting what's going to happen when chaos strikes. So he'll like see into the future a bit. And that's not even true, but a little. Based on, go ahead.
May I ask you a question about that?
Sure.
Are you seeing into the future, or are you creating the future through your mind?
Dude, I don't think we should answer that.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
Oh yeah, okay.
As a thought, right?
I will ask that 1,000% in character. I want to know what you believe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
I don't know the answer, but I feel like since the world is so malleable, right? And that means time is malleable. I don't know, but that's a good question, right?
You're basically Neo is the kind of archetype that you're playing in a space like this, where it's like either you're getting these premonitions of what's about to come, just like people go, you know, oh, the wind's coming, so a storm's coming or whatever. You're either doing that or you're going, a storm's coming and then a storm's coming. It's so cool, dude.
And one of the things too I feel about this world too is that because he's a part of the Twilight, he looks a part of the Twilight. Like he doesn't look like anything.
He looks strange. That's so cool.
Like how the Ents are characters in Lord of the Rings, like of the land, not necessarily to that extreme, but in a world of chaos, what does that mean? Always changing, always shifting. Things are not what they seem.
Your
but there's
facial features change.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you're just all of a sudden, you know, your nose is completely different or something like that for, you know, I don't know, 50 days. And then sometimes you've got a mustache for a second.
Well, I also think that like even to like transitory non-human things.
Yeah.
So you're an 80-year-old man and then you're 12. Like that's so cool.
Like the shifting of time is a part of this character's essence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. That's going to be a joy. When do you give up your card?
Flip over to see that, right?
I think it's at the
I think it's
bottom.
On the front.
Yes, it's set aside.
Set aside when you lose someone or something you love through indecision or too much caution.
That is a lot to play with because it literally could be losing a space on the road. It could be losing one of us to the road. It could be, there's a lot that you could do.
Yeah. Ooh,
and because with all this chaos, what if my position with the crew is transitory?
What if your position with the world is transitory? What if you actually lose your ability to stay as this caretaker in this space and you become one of us? That would be awful.
Yeah.
For you, I mean, for your
and
character.
for us.
You'd be like, oh, my.
Right. But
because then we don't have that regulator. Yeah. Or barometer even. You don't even have to be a regulator. You could just be the barometer of the environment. That's so cool.
Okay.
Okay. So I was also leaning towards careful, fast, or brash. I think between the two, brash or fast, here are my pitches, okay? For this character that we've made that's essentially this navigator.
Yeah.
All right. So here's my pitch for fast, right?
Mhm.
It's for you, it's always a race. And I think I'd like to maybe just kind of twist this a little bit where it's like I'm not necessarily racing to win, to like, traditionally win, but I like the idea that I have a goal of I want to be the best mapper, the best navigator. I want everybody to know, like, oh, ask insert character name, how to get wherever. I just have a lot of pride with the idea that I know how to navigate the space and really well. And like if the 7-Eleven goes missing, I'm on it. I'll
Yeah.
find it and I'll
Yeah.
map it. And then, like it's just like, so in that way I'm racing to do that thing and I'm very quick. But my other offer is that, because I think I need to establish a truth, where like such a limitation, like a well-known race that you lost what happened, or a time that you suffered for not being first, how in winning you once really lost why, or someone influential that believes you to be hasty or flighty who. I love the idea that we as a collective society have lost 10 years. It's somewhere. There's a decade somewhere that's missing because I was in too much of a hurry to get to wherever it was that I was doing, that I literally lost time. And so now there are people stuck somewhere. We have no idea where they are. And so I live with that. And I'm like secretly looking for signs of that decade, whatever decade it is that's missing. And it could be a decade I never even visited, but because I was in such a hurry, I didn't do all the grounding techniques that, Billy's character would have been like, hey, chill, do this. And I didn't do that. And therefore somewhere there's some people, like a whole decade worth of time and people and society that's gone, which is cool because then it's like, for us as like from a historical perspective, we look at, we go from the 50s all of a sudden to, the 60s, and you're like, or 70s, and you go, wait, we're wearing this. And so all we have for that time period is guessing. We go, okay, well, we have this and this. So I assume that means we went from here to here, but we don't actually know because the time is literally gone.
We
no
also
idea.
don't know the ripples of what happened to have missed the entire 60s.
Yeah.
Like, and none of us remember that decade. If anyone was alive in that decade, we just have no idea what happened, even if we lived through it, right? Like, there's something very, but in your defense, we have said multiple times that you cannot tarry on the road, right?
Yeah.
That's actually something that we've been told. You're not supposed to just linger about.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
there's like there's probably a subset of the culture that's like, oh man, fuck PB, like she totally, or like her and her expedition group or whatever ruined everything. And then there's a group of people that are like, well, it wasn't their fault. They did the best that they could. They were trying to navigate a really crazy spot, and it happens. And yes, an entire decade's gone, but worse things have happened, like Atlantis or whatever, there's that kind of stuff. Oh man, that's so cool.
I will posit that many people probably have some very interesting consequences for that missing decade, right? There might have been people that you fell in love with in that decade and now you've never met them. There might be people who you made amends and you got forgiveness, but now you haven't. Like, there may be all of these really fascinating consequences for that one missing decade, right?
Yeah. Maybe we also lose inventions as well. So we've got like machinery and stuff that doesn't work anymore because we're missing some sort of fundamental part or invention that made it work
in the middle.
That's kind of cool too.
Because we still have the end part. Like, we still have like all of this stuff.
We still have the car. We just don't have the that's so cool.
Right? Because imagine like we have all this technology. Let's say we miss we miss the 80s. We've got all these computers that were being built, right? And then we have all the computers that happened afterwards. And all of a sudden, we're hanging out in 2023, and we missed the 80s when all that microcomputing started. And you're like, wait, hold on. Like, now these don't make sense, but we have them, which means we know that we missed something, but we don't know.
Like having that, the puzzle, all the puzzle pieces, but except for one. And you're just like, but now I got to figure out how this fits together. And
Okay. When do you set aside?
When I discover something else is more important than winning.
Okay.
So I think for me, what winning is just like being right.
Yeah.
Like having the map, knowing the mental knowledge. So when I
So
realized that. Yeah.
I have drawn. We have to do the mapping. It's a very simple map. That is the thing we do now. And I have set up a V on our little thing with 3 circles. A beginning, middle, and end is what we have here. And someone should be the mapper. Should just grab that, right? But this is a card to keep for a while.
Which one?
The mapper.
Oh.
Which somebody
Should I
just
take that one?
take
Since
it
I'm
up,
the
if you would.
navigator.
I feel like since you're the navigator, the mapper would probably be the best thing for you.
Okay.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, I see it. I didn't. Oh my goodness. I was doing that thing where I was focused on the right side of the board and totally missed that there's some stuff in the left. Okay.
So take that card.
Yep.
There are a couple differences. Based on the truths that we have chosen, draw and name our journey's beginning and final destination as locations near the top left and right edge of the map. I've put a big V for you there. Choose a spot roughly in the middle of the map, forming a rough big V. This is where we will start our journey.
Okay.
And
so where do I pull these location cards?
No. You decide what they are.
Oh, okay.
Give us this beginning, this end, whatever that might mean, and what the middle place is where we start. This is where we are. We are in the middle of our journey, and because you are the mapper, you get to choose that.
Okay.
You can define those things.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, I mean, I can be as simple as we're on the Twilight Road is where we are in the middle, or I could, describe like actually what the area looks like, or, and I'm assuming that the end of our journey, we want to be off the Twilight Road, whatever that means.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think it could mean that we reach a particular destination. It could mean that,
or you can be somewhat, what's the word? I mean, maybe the end is, well, sorry, I was just going to say something. I was like, oh, that sounded like it was coming from my character, not from Billy's character. But like, what if the ending is you've decided? Do you know what I mean? Well, exiting the Twilight Road, right?
Yep.
Has a lot of meaning to what that means. Like the exit, right? Like that actually means a lot.
Yeah.
For what that would mean. Yeah.
Could mean that it could mean your physical location, like you get off the actual exit, but it could also just mean your emotional state or your whatever is you are done with the road. And I think like your character would know when that is. I think we'll also all know when that is, when we hit that moment.
Yeah. Also, I don't think if we're already on the Twilight Road right now, then we cannot get off the road until we get off the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. Oh no! Sorry, I just thought of something. If what makes you able to enter the Twilight Road is a certain kind of malleability about the world, but what is able to make you leave the road is the fact that the road is malleable. People who are stasis, if they are in the Twilight Road, they might make it so nobody can leave in that grouping, because if they fix a thing, then you can't get out of it, right?
Holy. That would imply that there's a little bit of, the horror trope where, everybody's kind of like eating each other alive, sort of. It's like, oh, this is your fault. This is your fault. But you actually have that here, because it's like, which one of you believes that believes something so firmly and fundamentally that we're stuck here?
Yeah.
And we're all like, well, we're all seasoned travelers. It's not me.
Yeah.
But maybe the belief that it's not you is what's doing it, I'm so confident it could be me. I'm the best mapper. I'm the best navigator. I got to win. Maybe it's that belief that's keeping us all on the road. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Fun to think about.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Okay. So what's your start?
You
get to name it for us.
Ooh, as in like the place or the. Okay.
So as your mapper, you get to name
we are now, so like technically where we started or where we're starting the game in the session, the role play is already on the road. But I'm defining where we began our journey. Okay. Does that imply that we've already been traveling on this road together for a period? Okay. All right. All right.
Yes.
then I will do a non I'll describe it this way. We've been traveling together for a time, not long enough for us to be sure that we're on the Twilight Road. Where we are now is like someone is starting to suspect we might be on the Twilight Road, maybe more than one person. And the end of is realizing and getting off the Twilight Road. So that somewhere in the middle, between the middle and the end, we realize we're on the Twilight Road and decide what we're going to do about it.
By the way, I'm putting this on our map, what you've said.
Yep. Okay.
Dear chat, if you wish, you may see the madness that we are creating. So our end is getting off the Twilight Road.
Yeah.
Where we are right now is...
we need to realize we're on the Twilight Road.
Go ahead.
And question/request. So so my role seems to be bound to the Twilight Road. So I would request not to be in any scenes until you realize you're on the Twilight Road.
Well, what if you are with us, but when we get on the Twilight Road, you look very different? Like, what if there's a morphing that happens, right? Because
so my body is a vessel.
Yeah, because if the Twilight Road is always possibly there, right? There's always like a slippage between those places.
If we're already on the road, I also like the idea that it's like, I can't. Sorry to keep bringing it back to the Matrix, but I love that whole concept. But it's like I can show you the door, but I can't walk through it for you. So you're literally just standing there. You're the therapist waiting for us to come to the conclusion, but you can't tell us because otherwise it ruins the journey of us realizing. So maybe you are in these scenes and you're just trying to maybe gently nudge or guide us to the realization that we're on the Twilight Road without directly saying, "Hey, y'all are on the Twilight Road."
And then question, how would I be associated with the party to begin with?
You're there the moment we're on the road, right? Because we're already on the road. So maybe even we're on this pathway and you are there or you find us or you instinctively know, hey, there are people on the road that don't have like either they have a guide or they got here or how did you get here or however you want to play that might be fun.
Okay. Wait a minute. Billy, what is the name of your role?
Buddy.
Okay, so hear me out. I'm going to throw out a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
If we are always in a liminal space, right? If part of the universe that we're in is shifting and liminal, and if you can come onto the road but not realize it, you're just walking down the road and all of a sudden you're like, wait, no, hold on a second. We should have been there yesterday, which means we are no longer we are now fully in the Twilight Road. If the Twilight Road's always, and all the roads, the Discordant Road, all these roads are always possibly there, right? What if, and this is just a weird thought, what if you are a ghost? What I mean by that is, what if you emerge into other bodies, right? So like, what if there were a person who was with us? And and as we are not fully in the Twilight Road, you're not there yet. But the thing about you being a buddy is that you emerge.
You literally become one of our. That's like your role is. Ooh, that's creepy.
That is creepy, and I would counter that with a very similar idea to where. This is this person's job. This person's job, not only on the Twilight Road, but on the Sun Road and the Moon Road, is that there's a part of them that is a vessel for the road to speak through. Whatever that road is.
So cool. I have goosebumps.
So if it's the Moon Road, the Moon Road speaks through this individual. If it's the Sun Road, it speaks through that individual, and they start adapting excessively to that road and the qualities of that road.
That is so crazy. So you're almost kind of like the boogeyman as well. Like, but there's this idea that are you still my friend or are you Twilight? Are you actually in Twilight? And that your character is like made of the same stuff that the world is made of. So that is so cool.
A prism of light for light to go through.
But it makes me think about like think of the boogeyman. It makes me actually think about those commercials from the 70s where there's that, I think it was for margarine, that woman, she's like, it's not nice to fool with Mother Nature, right? This idea that like, are you the boogeyman or are you actually nature itself, right? And
yeah, totally,
right,
1000%.
right. But people who might be in stasis are like, oh, nature's so scary, right? But like, are you, right? And the ways in which you can channel yourself through people, and that is probably maybe one of the fears people have, like, oh, if you go out there, maybe the road, like when you say that
The road eats you, and then where do you go? Because this thing is now talking through you, you know? Like, are you,
right?
no.
Yikes.
It's
Yeah.
so scary.
But it also, if you're from one perspective, it just might be how nature is. We are not, work with me, if everything is in the middle, it's twilight, even we are not always necessarily only ourselves. The idea that we're only one being, that we are a rigid self with only ourself, but we could also be another self, right?
It's the whole idea of like when you're empathizing with someone, you're becoming them for a minute. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, right. And that this could be this really, that the Twilight Road for some people is like a holy pilgrimage, that maybe if you're lucky, you could get connected to the road that you walk on. If you're lucky, you could be that vessel for that moment. Because I imagine if you are a vessel in this mindset, you get insights to things. It could be
think
a
you do.
gift.
It's like
or you think you
Nirvana.
do. Yeah.
And you're kind of like, all right, well, you know, I imagine, or I personally believe that if the road takes you, then you know, you will gain some insight, or you know, oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
But that gives us room to play of either being afraid of you or in awe of you, or both. That's
a hell of a dynamic. That's
delicious.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, PP, you have to give us our starting point.
So where we began, but not where we are. Okay, so obviously we began on the Moth Road.
Nice.
I don't know what that means, but my desk mat has moths on it, and that's what I decided to go with.
Yes.
We started at the Moth Road.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, we were all on that road.
Okay.
And we were traveling together.
Yeah.
And that means that you have taken over someone that we were traveling with.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's my personal belief then that person is like lost now, gone, because I think that's just my personal belief.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, if I've ever met the road before. That means that Billy's you're playing the road, dude. You are the road. That is so cool.
That's amazing.
So I think, I don't know if I've ever met the world or the road before has ever spoken to me. And if it has, I think I'm too ignorant to actually know that that's what's happened. Like, it's possible that the road tried to guide me or did save my life at one point, and I'm just oblivious to it, because I'm like, no way. I would know if the road talked to me. Like, nope. Oh, that's so cool.
But also it's a calling, right? Like sometimes the road is called and then the road can emerge like a rainbow. You know what I mean? Like there's like, but also Billy's character is suspicious of me, so that's, I wonder why the road was called. Anyhow, what we each do, each one of us gets to create a location that we have passed between the Moth Road and this moment where we realize we're shifting into the Twilight Road. We each sort of place one on this map of ours where we are journeying. So we get to make this truth, right? Each one of us gets to make this truth. We have passed by, because we've been on this journey together for a moment. And so we each get to make a place that we have journeyed.
Before we hit the Twilight Road, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. So from Moth to where we are now.
But I will also remember that Twilight is a spectrum rather than a binary. So we would probably have been traveling partially on the Twilight Road for a while.
For a long time. Yeah.
Like it's like a, you know what I mean? Like
we were always on the Twilight Road.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
I would love for one of the locations to be this town called Silver Duck, where actually that is specifically where the bridge was burned. I was a little bit, hat over face, leaning back as we passed through that town, just trying to not sell the importance of it. But there was definitely a different vibe happening when we passed Silver Duck.
the town Silverduck where the bridge was burned.
Yes.
Yeah,
I have one.
give it. And where would you like to place it in relation to the Moth Road and where we shift before or after Silverduck?
I
We're
will
making
leave
timeline.
it malleable. And then we can all decide together where it belongs, because I think it should be the last game we did. I think we passed by
Oh,
that town with
yes.
those people. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, that small burned
Something
out
is wrong
weird
here. Yeah.
something is wrong here town.
Mhm.
Oh my
Something is
gosh.
wrong here. Cinematic universe we're
Yeah.
establishing now.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because that also tells
Because
us
they
something.
were stuck too, right?
They
And
were
so,
stuck. Yeah.
like,
They
it's
just didn't know the
possible
rules.
that they just didn't know the rules, and we're like,
Yeah.
oh, those those
Yeah.
poor individuals. And I
Yeah.
don't know how we saw that or saw them
Yeah.
or passed that town, but we went, don't stay there, because if you
Yes.
stay there, you're gonna be stuck with them. So
Yeah.
don't no matter what road you're on, don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we definitely
Oh.
passed that town, and like, I think my character we all burned a building down. There was a
Yeah.
bar, but I love the idea that there
Yeah.
were, like, it's this empty space where
Yeah.
maybe even a wooded forest,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
saw that wooded
Mhm.
forest a lot, but like,
Mhm.
it's just a
Yeah.
location with 3 of those spaces. The one
Yeah.
where they died, the one where the building
Yeah.
burned down in the
Yeah.
cafe. And that's it, because they're stuck in those spaces. So yeah, I think that's what we should do.
I also think, if I might add,
Mhm.
that the kinds of things we saw there,
Mhm.
like technologically, are not from our world, so we knew this was not a
Yeah.
place to stay.
So we knew, don't stay there. Yep, I agree.
Right.
I
Like,
agree.
and maybe we have cars, but there's something about those cars that are not our cars.
Yeah.
Right.
And
we're
it's
like,
not the lost decade. So we're
No,
like,
no.
oh, there's something weird here.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes we're in other realities and we know this is not a place to stay. Right. There's like
Yeah. And I wonder if there are realities that are just like off limits for us, where we're like, rules
Yeah.
say don't go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or would we even know if they're off limits? Would we be
Yeah.
have told about these other realities that do exist in our space that we just don't have?
And I imagine that people in the
It's so
settled towns don't
interesting.
believe in them. Right. Like, I
Yep.
think there's a lot of
Oh,
these
yeah,
things where this is
absolutely.
just,
Oh,
come
yeah.
on. Come
Yeah,
on.
this is like seeing Bigfoot, and we're all like, oh. And maybe it's one of those things where you see it and you recognize the technology and you're like, that's not one of ours, but no one dares
Yeah.
say it out loud.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oop,
Yeah.
and we're all looking like, is that what I
Opens a
think it
huge
is?
door.
I think it is. So nobody say a word, don't speak. We just walk on right by. Oh, I love
Oh,
that.
Yeah. I have
Cool.
one.
Yep.
Please.
One of the places that we were at was an oasis in the desert that came upon us. And I think it's one of the last places we've been before we get to the space. It's a desert, and it is a what do you call them? Not a tavern, but like a way house, like I'll just call it the tavern. The tavern in the tavern in the desert, right? That there is a tavern, and I have never heard of this. I didn't know anything about it because, like, I don't. It is a place.
Oh, is it like a safe waste spot for just travelers? Oh, that's cool. Like a trucker stop, right?
Yeah.
Where it's okay, that's cool.
But most people can never find it because it's not fully here. It
I
is
like
one
that.
It's one of those
So
things. where-
that's like a major clue. The fact that
Yes.
we've even seen that, we're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And we're probably at that stage of like, oh no, we're here, but I don't want to admit it. Like some of us probably are like, yeah, we're here. We know it deep down.
It's like once that happens, I imagine that is where shifts start happening. So I think our buddy starts shifting there, right? We may not realize it yet, but I feel like the shifts start happening there.
Can I
Yeah.
make a change to our V map then?
Please.
So I think that, because I like the idea that we could have already been on the Twilight Road and we have no idea, but our middle point now is understanding or believing we're on the Twilight Road versus
Yes.
whether we actually are or not.
Yeah.
Because we could have been all the way at Silver Duck where the bridge was burned, you know? So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Realizing. You know what I think? This is a weird thing to say. We are now fully on the road. So I think this is a pot, and you can say what you think. And I imagine that maybe people have different thoughts about this, but I imagine there's a way in which you're probably always potentially walking on any number of roads, but
Yeah.
you're not, like, it's okay if it's like the road brushes past you. Like, oh, that was a little bit of the discordant road. That's okay. Right. And so, like, it's always possible, especially if you really are attuned to these things, that
Dude,
there's always like a little bit of the road there. Right.
I wonder if you can walk 2 roads at the same time. You probably can. What if
As
there's
long as you're not
shortcuts
fully
and you're
right
like,
on one.
and you're like, I'm gonna, the best way to get there, and that's would be something my character would be thinking of is like riding discordant and moon at the same time.
Yeah.
Up until this point, and then you switch, and then that's so weird and cool.
How
and
hard are we trying to make this role play for me?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But I think my point is that, like, when you're walking, it's like, oh, everything's fine, right? And you can, like, the Twilight Road could be there, like, inside of you or around you, but that doesn't mean you're lost to it yet, and you may not even realize it, right?
Yeah.
But
like
there's
depression. Sorry
like,
to get deep,
yes,
but
no,
like
absolutely, yes, yeah, like
and then
depression.
there's that moment where you're like, oh, I'm depressed, dude.
Yeah.
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 Okay. And I have been for a long time or whatever. Yeah. Wow.
So I have an idea.
I'm on it.
The Moth Road in and of itself is a road with its own liminal space.
Yes.
But with strong indicators of a small festival.
Yeah.
So like there's a particular happening in time and space where folks in one town that shifts will gather to set alight these flying lanterns.
Yes.
And so that is the indicator that you're entering and exiting, potentially re-entering, potentially leaving again. But the border is this festival.
Yeah. Yes. Ooh, the Festival of Flying Lanterns. That's amazing. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And then also, just to add on to the, how difficult do you want to make this role? Because we initially were like, oh, you are the space, and it's, like you're the universe, essentially what we were saying. But I wonder if you could fragment that to be like, I am the personification of the Twilight Road only, instead of the entirety of the space. Yeah. So if it's like, because otherwise, you're right. That's a lot.
But it also makes sense that each road has its own
voice.
Yeah. And they may not all agree.
Well, it's like how we would communicate. It's I feel like it's like learning sign language.
Yeah.
Like you are learning the way in which to communicate to us. And technically, while you are the personified Twilight Road, the Twilight Road is also the Moth Road, is also the Twilight Road. Like you are all one in the same way that we're all made of the universe, right? But you still kind of have your own consciousness and your own kind of feelings or way of communicating. So that's pretty cool too.
Could I throw out a possibility, Billy?
Yeah.
The person whose body was with us in the beginning, what if they were someone, were my traveling companion, right? That I escaped, right, this place, and I took with me, or they volunteered to come, or they decided they were going to come whether I wanted to or not, like a trusted traveling companion, because I have never left this place, right? I think that I have not only have I never left this settlement, I think there's a lot of parts of the settlement I was not able to go to because I was so constrained. And so I had like
Abu. Sorry.
Yeah, like a very dear traveling companion who was like, I will go with you if you're going to leave.
And the second he left, he's gone. That's terrifying.
That you're not that person anymore, which is, I think, which makes the distrust interesting, because now you're distrustful of me, but like I was like, oh wait, I don't know what that means. Like I think there's something interesting about
like maybe he was drawn to you and the buddy, and it could have been you that he took over, because neither of you belonged here.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So that's like an interesting, like, you are my buddy, but you're also no longer my buddy, right? But also because you're now you're the voice of the road, which is that's amazing. Oh gosh. Okay. So if you are ready, we we'll begin our first scene, and we're going to do what we can before we end.
But question though, do we have
Yeah.
to end ever?
No.
Yeah, can we like do another
Pause.
session? Because
But-
yeah,
but-
pause.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
just pause.
Yeah.
Let's pause.
Yeah, yeah.
We spent so much time on this awesome world that I want to spend some time in.
Me too.
So let's pause.
And I really want to know, I want us to earn it, whether we
Yeah.
leave the Twilight Road or we don't, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what we will do, but I want to earn it if that's the case. So remember, we've got the road here and the Twilight that always can be taken up. You can take up a card at any moment. And we have locals, which we can take up when we need them. Our director is somebody is going to be our director. Yeah, so we're going to do our first scene. Someone should take up the role of the director for...
I was already the mapper, so I think that should be one of you two.
I think it should be
Marcus
Billy.
and Billy. Yeah.
I
I'm considering your roles. Like
Yeah.
we've got
Yeah.
this like protector,
Mhm.
forager, and then we've got the
Mhm.
road itself. So yeah.
Mhm. I agree.
So what's the prompt? What am I reading?
Take up the director.
It's the blue card
Oh,
on the left
yes,
side of the map.
yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I missed it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that is you. Twilight Road beats is important. Oh, we should do our Twilight Road beats. They are... let me get them for you. We have some beats,
Yeah,
and they
absolutely.
are important. They're the beatniks, actually. They're not. Let me give them to you here. I would like some beatniks, right? That would be deliciously lovely. Let me put them on the table for you.
Thank you.
We have our Twilight Road beats. Watch out for
Just
them there.
looked at my abilities, man. Oh wow.
I'm saying there are some cool abilities there. Let's get some beats. We've got brash, which we don't need. We don't need charming. All right. So we have some beats, and these are sort of like our structure for the Twilight Road. We need, let's see, rite of passage, freedom's price. These four right here. The Twilight Road beats, which are these four. Let me put them out. I think I've got them in the right order. Is that right? Yeah. So we unlock the story of our journey with the use of story beats, right? A strong rhythm with beginning, rising, action, climax, and finale creates a memorable but impactful narrative. So in many ways, the Twilight Road provides an easy structure for a story, as journeys already have a natural beginning, middle, and end. But these optional story beats can guide us to keep the pace moving. We can choose to use the simple beats on the back of this card, or choose the more detailed Twilight Road playset beats, which are cards 2, 3, and 4, or use the more generic Freedom's Price, Mystery, Quest, or Rite of Passage genre beats. And in all the variants, someone should take up the Twilight Road and the Story Road cards for at least the first beat. So when we get our first one, someone should take those. But to sort of see what we have here, the simple beats... Wrong one. There we go. In the opening beat, we establish the road, introduce our leads, and reveal their motivations for embarking on their journey or seeking change. We start the story in the middle, in media res, of our journey on the road near their previously chosen start location. Together, we are confined in a vehicle or constrained in some other way. We tell each other stories and stage a flashback scenes to establish the Twilight. In the middle beat, we show a mix of highs and lows as our journey continues through different locations, with the leads facing physical and emotional challenges and crossing various thresholds, physical or metaphysical. Our final beat offers a climax where the leads face their biggest obstacle, choice, or transformative moment and must overcome it to continue their journey or change forever. The story concludes with a finale to show the leads have grown and changed as a result of their experiences during the journey through the liminal space of the Twilight Road. Those are the simple beats we can use. Or we can use the other optional beats that we have here for the Twilight Road, which we have, for example, one where 2, we we have the driver. It starts off as director. We review the locations. Each storyteller picks a fellow traveler and chooses a traveler plot on the back of that card to focus on when they're the director. Like we sort of like, these are sort of different set of beats we can do for that one. And or we've got 3, which is the driver as a director. You're gonna be the director. It looks like, my friend. Just noting it's probably gonna be a good life for you. Do I have 2 twice? I don't think I want 2 twice. Oh, that's 3. Sorry. And then we can have yes, we have like rising action plot. So basically, we have 4 different sets of beats that'll take us through this journey that we can choose from. Wait, this is in the wrong direction. So we have so these 3 here are like linked. We have opening, rising action, and climax and finale. We have that sort of like, that's a more complex one, but it's 3 cards. Each one gives you one's opening, rising, and climax. Or you can do the simple, which is all of those in 1 card. I feel like since we want to do this, we want to come back to this. I feel like maybe we should do the complex ones, 2, 3, and 4 together. So rather than all of our beats in 1 card, we get to have 3 cards for our structure. That would be my suggestion, since we get to come back. It gives us more.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if we do aim to come back to this,
Yeah.
having more space to play in this world that we've spent like 2 hours creating. You know, that sounds great to me.
Okay, let's move this over here, and let's have these story beats out. And that means our first card is the opening, where we connect the travelers together. And in this opening beat, the storyteller with the driver starts off as the director. So PB, you're going to start us off.
Oh.
You'll review the locations on the road, right? Between our starting location and we're going to have basically interesting. So review the locations on the road between our starting location and the location our journey originated, the ones we all chose. Each storyteller picks one of these prior locations to focus on for this beat. Each storyteller picks a fellow traveler and chooses, or rolls a dice, a traveler plot, which is on the back of that card, to focus on when they are the director. And in the opening scene, the director focuses on establishing the road and waits to resolve their traveler plot. And the storyteller should use their story cards at least once each scene, optionally switch them out between scenes because we have our cards, right?
Okay.
And then, of course, we pass the roll after each
scene.
And this beat can end when at least, we can stay in this one for quite some time. This beat can end when at least 2 of the traveler plots are resolved.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I walked away to get a snack and also to use the washroom, so I might be asking multiple questions we've already answered. So I need to pull which card, or I just need to decide for our beat?
Flip that card, and we have these.
This one here?
Yeah, I just flipped it for you, right?
Okay, yep.
Yeah, so these are persuade a fellow traveler to tell a story about why they joined the journey at a location, or stage a flashback scene by showing how.
Oh,
This
I
beat,
see. Okay.
Yeah, can end by establishing a new truth or an open question. Create an open question about a fellow traveler's story that they're reluctant to tell.
These.
Yeah, and you get to, because you're starting us off, you'll have your director.
I'm going to roll for it.
Yeah, please do. Oh, I'm so excited.
1.
Okay.
Which is persuade a fellow traveler to tell a story about why they joined the journey at said location, or stage a flashback scene showing how this beat can end by a step. I want a flashback scene. And I want this somewhere. I just want the scene where the road becomes your buddy.
Oh.
Yeah. I want to see that moment, that takeover.
You nightmare. I love it.
And so this is about why they joined the journey at that location. So why?
Yep. What about
Twilight
that
Road
location was about to destroy our universe as we know it?
Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Or not
okay.
even that location, but what
Yeah.
about that moment was going to stabilize reality
Yeah. Okay.
in a dangerous way?
Yeah. So it's
Also,
about
remember how I was like,
yeah.
I gotta be
Yeah.
able to go to sleep. I'm so jazzed, dude. There's no
Yeah.
way. I'm like, this
Oh.
is so cool. I gotta write about this world. I
Oh.
gotta like,
Yeah.
oh man.
So we're gonna
I
get the
got
moment.
3 more Red Bulls, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I got 3 more Red Bulls in the fridge.
We're gonna get the moment. We're gonna learn why the road has come here, like when that
Yeah.
happened.
Yep.
Okay. Uh, so this like will be a flashback probably.
Yep.
Billy, when did it happen? When in our journey did it happen?
We also get to play with time, or has it not
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
happened yet?
Is
Yeah.
it for us to decide?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Really?
absolutely. Yeah.
Because I feel like with us in particular,
Yep.
there's enough backstory between our characters and why we had left and why I'm involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like if you're going to take a friend, you had to for what reason? That's on you.
Yeah.
You had to ask me because
Okay, I have to note, PB, you have to answer this question as director, I'm afraid.
Okay. Okay.
This question
Mhm.
can be answered in 2 ways.
Yep.
The first Billy, why the first Billy joined, or why the road merged into Billy.
I
Right?
think
Because
you need to know why your friend joined.
Mhm, mhm,
The scene
mhm,
I think would be cool if it was
Mhm.
when the road
Mhm.
joined, but the
Mhm.
road joined clearly because of something
mhm.
between you and your friend, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So, and do
Mhm.
you feel guilt? Like, do you feel
Mhm,
guilty?
mhm.
Like, did you ask your friend to come along because you wanted your friend to come along, or because you
Mhm.
were afraid of being on the
Mhm.
road alone? And therefore you put your friend in danger for your own,
Yeah.
like just,
So let's say that this is happening after the Festival of the Flying Lanterns, which marks us leaving the Moth Road, right? So we're at that sort of point. So that sort of the marker of those lanterns means that we're no longer on the
Mhm.
Moth Road,
Yep.
and we're back on the normal road, I guess, or so we imagine.
Mhm.
I could I say that we're in a like we have like a
Or sorry, it would be
yes
that we think we've entered the Moth Road, right?
'cause
Because that's the sign that we are now entering the Moth Road that we think
and
we're on,
exit.
but we never, but we maybe never ever got on the Moth Road.
Because we get the lanterns either when we enter or when it's like there's like a celebration for both ending and into entering and exiting.
The cocoon, that's so cool.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that it's beautiful. Could I say that we have some kind of like it'd be like a stagecoach or like some kind of uh, like a covered wagon, some kind of a thing that we travel in, like we have
All of us, or you and your friend?
no, like I imagine all of them. I
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
like a caravan sort of a thing, perhaps, right? Where there's like a
I imagined us on foot, but I mean
Yeah.
that's also fine to do a caravan, and either the caravan breaks down or it doesn't break down,
Yeah.
or some of us prefer not to.
because it might be a
travel that
long
way.
road, right? So I imagine there must
Yeah.
be ways to carry supplies. I don't think it's like some massive, huge group of people, but I imagine there's like a cart or a wagon where, like, especially you can sleep underneath it. You know what I mean? Like, just where, like, 'cause
Yeah.
if you're gonna be there for like potentially a very long time,
Can
and maybe
I-
also supplies. Go ahead.
Yeah, can I posit that that's what
Please.
you think that you need on the road, because you like a house, you like
absolutely.
a structure. Yeah, and so you
Absolutely.
and your friend have this wagon, and we're all
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? You can sleep under the stars. You don't need any. Yeah, or the supplies that you need will come to you
Yes.
on the road, because it's everything's transitory or whatever. You don't need to bring your whole house with you on
Oh.
vacation.
Oh, I have. Yeah. Okay. That you just gave me an idea. It's good.
Okay.
My character's name is Oh, okay. I actually have a name, but I can't give you that name because that would
Okay.
give it all away. So I
Yep.
have a different name. My name is not that.
Uh-huh.
My name was going to be Secundus, which because we have sort of number ranking names, right? But
Mhm.
that's not. And also we change our names, right? There's a way in which, even though we're very stasis, you're the primus is the one who's actually in charge of that
Yeah,
settlement.
your name is like a marker. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
But so I cannot give you that name. So I'm going to go with a totally normal name that people have who are normal people. That is
Noah.
not a. Yes,
Noah
that's what.
Ark.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what people do. People have a name like
Yeah.
Noah.
Mhm.
So I am Noah, and we have a cart with crates and supplies.
That's weird.
We're merchants. We're travelers. We're couriers. We're bringing things from one place to the next. That's people in different settlements need supplies. That's normal. People
Yeah,
take
okay.
things.
Yeah, I think I would absolutely just be like, yeah, all right. I don't know. You could be coming from 2084 where you guys use wagons. Cool. All right. I don't know.
Back in the old 80s, we used wagons. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think
I don't know where you're
Noah
going, but
is
well.
probably. We need a significant number. A special marking number, a number where transitions happen, right? But they have definitive numbers when transitions happen. They don't. It
Yeah.
doesn't. It's like this is the moment, right?
Yeah.
It would be something like probably 21's a prime number and a pretty like mystical. We'll go with 21, but not for our purposes, but for like sort of mystical purposes. And so I think that Noah is 20.
Oh, so you're about to become 21. Okay, cool.
So I left. It's like, nope, we'll not.
I don't want to turn 21 here.
No. And
ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Billy, how old are you?
What is time?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think he's always existed.
But he's my friend, though.
But,
he's not yet the other one, right?
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, God.
Might-
Billy just challenging you to play two
Yeah.
characters at once. No big deal.
Might you have been my bodyguard /
I think super
minder.
plausible. A person of trust in your in a position of esteem. So either bodyguard, butler, servant, advisor,
controller. I do not think that. I think that the Primus, right, is the one who employs you to advise and protect and to take care, but also to watch and to constrain, right? Like, I think that was perhaps what the Primus wanted your job to be, but you are no longer. Well, I don't think you are. I don't know. But you are now. I fled, right, and you are here with me. So I think there's like a
like a deserter. I abandoned my post.
I guess. Sure. Yes, you did. That's what I believe. I believe that you have abandoned your post and you have decided to run off to explore the world with me. That we're not going to be constrained by the rules. That we're going to be free. And I believe that you have done that. Are you my age older? Like, what is like? Yeah.
And your age was 20,
right before the important moment. I bet there's a ceremony. Like, there's a ceremony that happens that like. I imagine we get like permanent things placed on us within the settlements to mark these things that are not malleable, like tattoos or like things that are permanent. I think there's a lot of permanence there, yeah. And I decided not to have that.
I want to say more experienced, like more level-headed, more so like early 40s.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I do have some daddy issues. That's going to happen right now. It's just what we got.
Marcus, were you like, yeah?
Yep.
I love a good character flaw. I love seeing how this goes around a game. I love hearing that.
What is your name?
Hey man, it's not a flaw, okay? Oh, sorry.
No,
it's a feature.
It's a feature. So what is your name?
It's a feature. What I'm called now, or what you know me as?
What I would call you if they heard, but then also otherwise.
Ooh.
I like the continuity, the through line we had. So I'm gonna go Amos.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely, Amos. 100%. 100%. And is that the name that we go by now, or is that the name from before?
I like go by now,
Yep.
Yeah.
not the name from before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's say it's evening and we're sitting around a fire and the burning lanterns, the flaming lanterns have sort of passed by. And I imagine it being this really amazingly wonderful time period, for me at least, because we've got these lanterns, there's a fire, we've got this cart with supplies that we are definitely transporting, and because that's what people do when they move, they transport things. And I imagine the rest of, like, the other two are there, probably not right by us, but like it's this sort of moment of rest on the road. Amos,
Yeah.
I've never seen anything this beautiful before.
Enjoy it, kid.
You've been outside of the settlement before, right? When you were younger? Is it the same as when you had left before? You traveled, or what you've done?
Not like this. Different in ways. There was a lot about home that was nice too.
I don't think so. I don't want to die in the same place that I was born.
Feel like there's a part that comes with the position that forces you to travel if you would have only stayed in that lane. You just didn't see it yet. There are perks to the responsibility as well. It's not just a prison.
Of course it's a prison. The people there in Homestead, they don't dream. Or at least I didn't dream when I was there. I couldn't remember any dreams, and
I can assure you, they do dream.
you told me not to go.
I did.
But how could I
It
stay?
was/is a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. Look at those people over there. They do this every day. This is their life. They just travel. They see roads. That one over there, that one. I feel like that one sees things that I can't even see. Could you imagine what I could see if I could see through their eyes? I could be anything. Amos, I could be anyone. I could choose.
What would you choose?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. But it would be, I don't know actually, but it would be something I'd never seen before, maybe, or stories. Remember when it was my 7th birthday, 7, mystical number, and my father was not there for the ceremony. I think he was doing other things. My mother also was not there for the ceremony. She also had other responsibilities. And I fasted for 24 hours, as is done. I recited all of the chains, as is done. Had everything memorized. Nothing was mistaken. I did the tones as is sung to be sung. I did it all right, but they didn't see it or hear it. But you were there.
I was.
And you said I did a good job.
You did. Sometimes it doesn't matter if people see it. That it was right is what is important.
I don't understand why you came with me. Coming with me puts you, well, in danger. It gets you trouble. You didn't have to come. You could have stayed.
I
Right?
could have. But I have a job and a duty. And at least one of the two of us has to believe in responsibility.
This is Amos, this is not, it's not about, don't you care about freedom? To just, look at those two. They're laughing right now. I don't even know what they're talking about. I bet they have secret traveling stories or ideas. I bet they know songs that I bet they just make them up. I bet those traveling people, I bet they just make up songs without having memorized them first. Could you imagine? I bet they just...
Yes, and I bet they sound awful.
No, I bet they're amazing. I bet there's something... You said that I might walk into a pit of fire and die if I went out by myself, and I
Because I'm
might.
convinced that you might.
I might have. But what if Amos, I don't want you here because it's a job. I want you to here because my friend, I hope. I mean, you were when I lost my first second row tooth, you were there to take it and put it into the fire.
You were young. You needed to be shown the way.
Yes.
Your parents are busy.
Yes. They're always busy. I want to live.
Why don't you ask them to sing a song, and we can hear how it sounds.
Do you think I
together.
could just ask them?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Pardon?
Oh, and I think maybe that if you do the left one, I can go ahead and sorry, did you need something?
Yes. My father and I were thinking about music, and I feel that my we just travel normally as a well merchants. We don't get to travel free like you do. Mostly just following normal routes, always this way and that. But I've heard in the last trip I took, I heard that there were wonderful songs by those who travel less traveled roads, songs not normally heard, and I thought that if you had one, I would love to hear it. I can't sing myself, so if you would,
Everyone
be...
can sing. Yeah, I can sing something for you, but no song is ever the same twice. And I do one part, and then you'd have to do the words, or well, that's how it works.
Yes,
That's
of
how it
course.
works out here.
Yes, yes.
Everybody does a piece.
Yes, yes. I am. I've only traveled a few times, and usually in short trips, not long journeys like this one. I've not normally traveled. My father's done most of the traveling. Amos here, and I imagine that we look similar enough, right? I suppose I could add something. I guess.
Amos will look over to you like a father would, without speaking, like, please humor the child.
Okay. Sure. So I'll start it, and then you can continue on, and who knows, maybe the pines will sing back.
And it's the exact same thing you did. No variation on the same melody that you had done.
Okay, okay. Good. It's good. It's good. It's good. Maybe it'll come back completely different tomorrow, or maybe it already has. I should get back to navigating.
Oh, of course. Could I help?
Sure. That's the spirit. You got to add to it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, so I think we want to go left here, and then up and sideways, like diagonal, and then maybe back down. You see how these tall pines are here, and then it kind of looks like maybe they're reflected down there. If you look diagonally, you can kind of maybe cross your eyes a little bit and see that there's a double pathway. I think we want to be riding that double pathway for a little while before we come back up here. I think it's probably just safer. Maybe. What do you think?
Me?
Yeah.
What I think?
Yeah. Add to it, like the song. You add to it, and then that's how I navigate.
Well, I agree with what you say, that the pines and there's you said left, and then forward and then sideways. I agree completely. That is diagonal. Yes, yes,
diagonal. Then yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, left and diagonal, then sideways. The double path. Yes, I agree. That is the way we should go.
Then what? You gotta add to it. That's how we would navigate. You add, and then I would add and twist it, and then that's how we find the way. Because you wouldn't be here unless you were part of my navigation tool, right?
Oh,
Can you tell him that's how it's done?
My father.
Are you sure
always,
you've traveled before?
Well, I've never been the navigator. My father always did that.
You're always the navigator. I'm the navigator. You're the navigator. But I start the song, you add to the song, and then like I start the route, you add to the route, and then I can usually determine where we're going, or where we are.
Father, do you have an idea of where we should go next?
Pack up our things. He'll slap you on the shoulder, and with like a gesture of encouragement, Tang for Bibble Toe Tule.
Arseni.
Blow.
We're going up and then right. It's perfect. Thank you.
Tangwar Flow Chan Lo.
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Chen.
Okay. So we're going up and then right again, and then we'll continue back on the path. Forget the diagonal. That was probably a little silly. I still think we'd get there faster, but oh well.
Long twin. Or two.
Okay. Or
Yes.
two. I haven't heard that one before.
Amos will go and to the belongings.
I waiting, realizing I come over and I start to pack up as well.
I'm watching you both, like, what is happening here? And then I don't know if I have a name, and I don't know if Marcus has a name either, because I feel like we're transitory. So I think I just look over to you and I'm like, what do we have? This is ridiculous. I'm annoyed.
What is your name?
I think that alone causes me to be even more suspicious. So, yeah.
And like, I think Amos is doing more of the packing up than I am. Try to figure out like how to do this. Yes. No. Okay. Right.
A name roots you. We don't use them here, and you shouldn't either.
Oh. But how would I indicate that I'm speaking to you?
I'm looking at you. You know I'm speaking to you, right?
Of course. That's nicknames. Yes, absolutely.
Well, not nicknames either. Those also root you. Just walk up to me and say hello.
Just like that.
Just
of course.
like that. Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Wonderful.
Great.
Wait. And I walk up to Marcus's character. Hello.
Hello.
How are
Nice to
you?
meet you.
It's good to meet you as well.
I'm fine. How about yourself?
Wonderful. We've been on this road for so long, and I didn't think I could just walk up to you and say hello. I thought that would be too bold.
You know, it's just that easy. You just got to keep moving, keep talking, and everything will stay straight.
Hop back up to the cart. Amos, you can just speak to people.
Ongol flip Andrastina.
Yes, I never learned that language. It wasn't part of my teachings.
Chobuto?
Die ane die ta 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 die ta ta ta.
Po. Chobuno?
Chobuno?
Chobuno.
Oh. Buno.
Protra Portunus.
There's not a lot of repetition in that language. How do you know what is happening if you do not repeat the syllables 5 times each time?
You see Amos start to get like physically frustrated. Like something's not getting across.
I'll get it. 3 times.
Chobuno!
Guess. Knocks on the side of the wagon. I saw that one do things like this. And I sit up in the wagon, a little defeated, like knowing that I'm not getting it, but I'm not getting what I'm not getting. and I sit not in the driver's side of the wagon, but in the passenger side of the wagon, just a little defeated.
Amos looks perplexed, wandering around trying to pack the things together. Walks away with his thoughts, and as he's walking away from the luggage that he's trying to pack, like walks directly up into the sky. Stops, realizes that his feet aren't on the ground, and he slowly starts descending as if like the helium has been slowly draining out of him.
Are you all right?
Gundo.
See, he's got the idea.
Elwartas.
Yep.
So they have to get on the road. Yes.
He'll look over at the companions with his arms outstretched. Protrogundo Beltas.
Ramalan and Talamalaikan.
I don't understand this.
He'll nod.
See, I just casually just go back and stretch and just lean back. This is pretty normal for me.
Normal for me too. See this all the time.
Rapid Dakar. His body starts to elongate.
Oh,
Better answer them.
I didn't understand the question.
We'll try listening again.
Trepid Takar.
Amos, I don't understand. You're making a scene.
Feel it. Feel the flow
Takar.
of the words.
Trepid Takar.
It's too many words. We should travel.
Focus.
I cannot focus. It's about being free, not focusing.
Try again.
You feel a small, slight chill inch through the back of your skull.
It's not right.
What is happening?
Amos? Am I speaking out loud? Was that me? Am I speaking out loud?
I hear you.
Oh. Wait. Who are you?
There's like an opalescent sheen over the elongated body of Amos as features start to shift.
do we all see this, or is it just him?
Oh.
It's physically happening in space time.
Okay. All right.
Does my father need help?
That's not possible. That's not possible. That's not possible. That's not happening. I'm continuing forward, or yesterday. One of the two.
Forward.
And I move forward
I urged
instead of yesterday.
the wagon forward. I don't know what's happening. I don't like it, but I'm not going to say anything.
Leave the wagon.
Leave the wagon. But,
Yeah, I agree with that. Just gonna slow us down.
But there's supplies in there.
Yeah, we got everything that we need. You don't need anything in there. Unless you're transporting something. What are you transporting that needs to be carried in a wagon?
The crates, they've got things in them. They're important.
What things does it have in there that are important?
They're important.
That wagon has no place here.
Can't leave the crates.
If we don't continue to move, that is death.
Yeah.
Let's continue. You can leave the
can't carry
crates.
stuff. Yeah, you can't carry stuff that'll root you. You're already trying to use names, and you don't want to leave things behind. You gotta let all that go.
Kid, you're gonna get lost.
Yeah.
Let it go.
A walk. It's just leaving behind something very important.
You already left it.
There's nothing
And-
behind you anymore.
Yeah. And I'm sure it'll be there when you get there. Come on. Keep moving.
Focus on where you're going. Keep moving.
Right?
Thing.
What's happening? Be like, that's the end of that one.
Yeah.
scene.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Uh, I think we get another one. We all get to have one or two, but who's the next director for this one?
Are we allowed to move around?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So
Mhm.
it's out of sequence a little bit.
Yeah,
Neat.
absolutely. I will note that in those crates, Amos didn't know it. Some of the homestead treasures, the high ceremonial objects, were in those crates.
Oh, that's how you lost those high ceremonial objects. Because you brought them on the road and now they're, oh, you know what is
Oh,
even
man.
cooler? Like, what if, and this is just my obsession with time loops and time
Mhm.
in general. What if
Mhm.
those ceremonial objects that you brought on the road are now your culture found them a
Yeah.
1,000 years ago because you brought them on the road, right?
Yeah.
And you're just
Oh,
like,
wow.
oh, these are our ceremonial objects. This is how we found them.
You literally already brought them here. You
Yeah,
brought them
yeah.
to where they
Yeah.
needed to
Yeah,
be, and that's
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
But I
and then
thought
we're
that-
like, leave them, you've already
But I
left
thought
them.
that I
They're
lost
already
them.
gone.
Like, I don't realize that I think that, like,
Mhm.
I kind of stole them, is what
Oh.
happened. I sort of stole our high ceremonial objects
Ooh.
because I thought we might need them, and I lost them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so I've got this like heaviness, like, oh no, right? Like, who's our next director? By the way, that was me using my shadiness, just so you know.
Yeah, yeah, that
My
was good.
shadiness there.
Do we roll another dice on these opening
Yep.
beats, or there's
Yep.
okay?
We get to stay here for a while. You either in those beats. You either roll or choose. You can frame that seam as you wish. Because this is our establishing of who we are to each other.
I'll play.
Yes,
I'll
please
direct. Use a tempting move from your character trait or the story card.
do. Okay. Uh-huh. A
So,
tempting move.
Yeah.
So it's-
Another's lead offers you support or comes to your rescue, making your complications their own.
Whoa.
Oh. Okay. Place us somewhere, Billy. Where are we? When does this happen?
So we are in a liminal space within the Twilight Road, a converging of roads.
Okay.
And the complication is
Converging
there are
roads.
several roads trying to speak through
Oh.
Amos, and he can't. There's no nucleus. There's no central. It's the conflict between the roads is manifesting, and Amos would lose control.
Oh. Who's going to take this complication on as their own?
What is the complication again?
The complication, converging roads
Yeah.
within the Twilight Roads in a liminal space that we find.
Uh-huh.
All of the roads seek to speak through who you know as Amos.
Oh, wow. Okay. But if we took that issue on as our own, does that mean that the road then tries to communicate through us, or we just recognize that this is an issue. Because I immediately think like, oh, I can't navigate properly if the road is trying to communicate. Or alternatively, this would be the moment where I realize we're not on the right road, because the road is speaking to me, but it's not using the language I'm familiar with for the Moth Road. This is something else. And I don't know if I would immediately jump to being like, well, this is a Twilight Road, but we're not in Kansas anymore. This is like, the Moth Road is supposed to be singing back to me. It's not supposed to be talking or doing whatever the Twilight Road would be doing.
Are you an expert on the Moth Road?
I think so.
Are you like one of the premier experts on the Moth Road itself? Like
I would consider myself to be, yes. Don't know if I actually am, but
How do you make your money, man?
Yep, exactly. I'm a guide. I know the Moth Road. I know quick routes. I know what I'm doing. I'm here to map I'm here to map something. I don't know, Moth Road to somewhere else.
Huh. Moth Road.
Yeah. So then I'll take it. I'll take it on as my problem, because it means that we're lost.
Yeah. I think I am sort of, lurking's the bad word, but I'm kind of shadowing a little bit the traveler that is Marcus, whose name I still don't have. Like, I think I'm just sort of like,
it's just sort of a thing, man.
Yeah, we just don't.
I think I'm just like sort of like trying to like figure out what you do. So like, I'm not there when the Babel, but the Tower of Babel starts coming out of Amos.
So where to start this?
Yeah, I was going to say, is this all we need? And then we just go?
Yeah.
Or, okay. And wait, well, physically on this timeline, do we know where we are? Is this at like the tavern in the desert, or is it just open? It's just a liminal space where the roads are merging.
It could be the tavern in the desert, because that would be a crossroads.
Yeah, that would be a crossroads.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Good thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I'm inside the tavern enjoying myself.
That's madness. Okay. Yep. All right.
Because
I'll start there. There. That's madness. You can't just sit and rest. Why does he always want to sit down and rest? This is ridiculous. We got to keep moving. You can't just let him be stationary. Somebody has to go and tell him something to move. Imagine wanting to sit down. It's ridiculous.
The young one must find his own path.
But that you don't find a path by sitting on your butt. He's got to get up and walk and move and also, what is that even doing here?
Do the trees have a path?
They have roots, and that's what happened. He's rooting himself. I'm telling you, the whole thing is making me uncomfortable. We gotta keep moving. Somebody go get him, please. I don't want to leave the road. It's not me. Are we drawing straws? What's happening? Somebody go get him.
I got it.
Okay. And make it quick, please. I don't want to stay here for too long.
And so then he's towards the back, or he's like just kind of taking the time. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're off the wagon. We are now just walking down the road.
Yeah, so the wagon we left behind at the Festival of Lanterns. So yeah, a long time ago, however long that is, or maybe it was 2 seconds ago, who knows? But we're now at the tavern in the desert, which is right before we realize that we're fully on the road. But the tavern is like, I don't know, it's got this vibe of it's the last stop before you hit the Twilight Road. So I don't know if we know that it's the tavern.
Yeah.
There's definitely a weird smell in the air. I'm noticing.
Yeah. Ooh.
You can kind of. We'll talk about that when it comes up.
Yeah. Okay.
But I head back. Kind of. Is he just like sitting? Does he just give up? Is just like not moving, or just like really like last kid in the race?
He's having a mug of beverage and having a meal.
Oh no.
Okay,
no.
That's.
It's like you sit down and you have it's very quaint. Not had this food before.
I walk up. I remove anything that you're sitting on. If it's a rock, I help you. I kind of lift you up by your arm, grab your arm, and pick you up. Hold your cup, whatever you're drinking. Just very careful. Come on, we got to move. Come on, kid. Let's get up.
I haven't finished my meal.
Yeah, and you never will if you don't continue moving. There is a reason we are traveling on this road, not to stay in one place, because if you stay in one place, you will wind up just like so many people before you, gone. So why don't you keep walking? We're going to get to where we need to go, and everything's going to be A-okay. Come on.
I haven't even finished my sandwich.
Come on. Kid,
Yes, fine.
I'm not messing with you here.
I'm not. Yes, traveler. Tom sort of gets up and he's sort of like, he doesn't pout 100%. There's just a little pout. There's a little pout there, like almost like a kick into the dirt. Just a little kick into the dirt, like follow along.
I kick the back of his shoes.
Hey,
Keep moving.
Oh, there we go. Finally. Okay, come on. We gotta keep going. I don't even, you don't stop. How many times do we gotta tell you don't stop? Are you where are you from? Actually, don't think about that. But
Yeah.
where you're from, don't you have stories about like Fae or Frine or elves where like don't eat the food of the elves because then they'll trap you forever? That's where that comes from. Don't eat the food of the place, otherwise you'll stay here forever. You don't want that. Okay? Can we walk? Move your little legs. Let's go. Come on.
Hey,
fine.
kid.
Yes.
I hand him a kind of carefully, but a pen, kind of a nice pen, but it feels almost weightless. Just hand this to him. Hold on to this. If you get stressed out, keep moving, but hold on to this. If this pen gets heavy, you have to let me know. Okay?
All right.
If the pen gets what?
Heavy.
You will then
Let you know.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Come on, kid.
Okay.
And just keep on going.
Is it
Look back to Amos.
I mean, I don't want to say the thing that we're all thinking about, but what was that back there? Not that I'm thinking about it for too long. I'm just thinking about what it might implicate. It couldn't possibly be the one, right? The last one, the one before.
Speak clearly.
The one before the Twilight Road. That one.
We're not traveling towards the Twilight Road.
You're always traveling towards the Twilight Road.
Kid, you are always traveling towards the Twilight Road. Come on.
That's why it's so important to keep moving and to move from one spot to the next, to don't focus, don't root, because if you root, you might end up on the road that you don't want to be on. We got to keep traveling on this one before your mind has the time to realize that you're traveling on this one or that you might be somewhere else.
Stop. Left.
Okay.
Pause. You can continue.
Wait.
The air tastes different.
Copper.
Copper and cumin.
I don't taste anything.
You will. You will.
Amos.
So that means that means that that's exactly what that was. And then why did you know which way how did you know that?
How did I know what?
To stop, to wait, to go. How did you?
I'm not from here. I don't. What?
Father, you said that we should stop and wait and pause, but your voice was strange.
What are we doing here?
No, I'm sorry. Amos?
Amos. Who's Amos?
What is happening?
Let's not make jokes.
This isn't a joke. This is an interpretation, and our interpreter is not saying what they're supposed to be saying. How did
I'm
we take
sorry.
a
I
wrong
will not.
turn?
I won't let that happen again. I don't.
No, 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 no,
don't
no,
know
no,
what.
no. You let it happen. You let it happen. You let it happen. You let
Leave
it happen.
me.
Okay.
Uh,
Hear me.
Just starting fiddling with some stuff.
um,
He'll snap his fingers, and then you start to smell and taste sulfur.
I don't
Hmm.
know what
I'm
this
back.
is.
I'm in control now. We're fine. We're fine. Don't look backwards. Don't look to your left. Step sideways.
Okay.
Northwest. Keep stepping sideways.
Okay.
Duck
Okay.
down. Duck down. Pause. Grab a handful of dirt. Put it on your tongue. That's it.
This tastes like blood. Ah, this tastes terrible.
Welcome.
Welcome.
No.
What does that mean?
No. No.
It still
This can't be real.
tastes like blood. I don't.
We're talking.
We are.
We are.
Well, what?
We're here.
What does that mean?
This
Amos?
is your fault. We
I
are
d-
stuck here on the Twilight Road because you wanted to sit down. You wanted to root. You insisted on names. You're even thinking about it when you look at us. You're like, which one is that one? And then you're designating me something. This is your fault. We're now stuck on the Twilight Road and we're never going to leave.
Hmm.
Your roots.
Someone help him. Please. You know,
Help him.
someone has to help him. Something's
We
wrong
need
with him.
help.
He's sick.
We're the ones who need help. Kid.
Follow me. I will guide you.
Oh.
If you listen.
Please help him. Do whatever you can.
It's just perfect.
Please.
This is great. You've never traveled before, have you? You're not actually a merchant. Who are you? Huh?
Listen, kid, it's clear that you are not who you say you are. I get into the business of minding my own and not asking. But this is fucked. Who are you? What are you? And why are you here? Why have you brought us here?
I haven't brought anyone anywhere, but if I say something, will you help him? Bring him back?
We can't bring him back. He's the
No.
interpreter now.
I don't. You all know things about this place. You can help him. Bring him back to me.
He
This
belongs
is why
to the
you're
road.
this is why you're not supposed to come and do what we do. Wherever you're from, you are supposed to stay there. Your mind isn't meant for this place. Or if you do, you need to tell the people that you're traveling with. You can't just walk around with a river in your pocket.
No lies.
Have you at least heard of the Twilight Road? Do you know what
Yes.
that is?
I heard it's a place of magic where dreams come true.
No. Well, I mean, yes, but also absolutely not. It is incredibly dangerous. Once you go on it, you may never get back. You may have always been there. You know, your family probably has already forgotten that you ever existed. We've only been here for 2 seconds, or maybe we've already been here for a lifetime. Who knows?
What was your reason? Did you just travel this road for fun? What brought you here for this? If you did not know the dangers that you will get swallowed up, that you can and will get swallowed up. This is where we are now.
In the darkness,
This is what this is.
there's a wall of tiny little lanterns that you see pop up into the sky, and you feel a breeze run over your skin. and then all the lanterns begin to fly in your
I im-
direction at
I
an increasingly
immediately-
faster
I
speed.
immediately start moving in the direction of what I perceive to be the wind because I'm impulsive and fast, and this my instant. Like I think this is how I get out of here, is to head back towards those lanterns, and I'm probably gonna get us even more lost, but that's what I do.
I move, but I'm going to use my vulnerable shady move. Sacrifice something I care about to gain an advantage or reveal a piece of my past. Listen, I don't mind if something happens to me. It's part of a grand story, but nothing can happen to him. He's the only one who kept me. The only one I think who has ever cared about me, and so he has to be safe. And if you know the way these roads work, please, he shouldn't have to suffer from me. I will tell you, I'm the Secundus of Homestead. 13 days before my 21st year. He's the one who taught me how to tie my shoes and how to be something else. And he seems ill. He seems as if something's happening to him, and I need him to be all right. Please.
Yeah, the road, it swallows people up. It takes them over.
On a journey.
Not always that way. You have to keep moving, or else this happens.
What?
The road is using your companion as a means of communicating with us. There is not much for them before and after now.
He's dead?
Not in a way I think you can understand right now, but you stay out here long enough, you'll get it.
Come on, pick it up.
Amos?
His hand outstretches to you, and his fingers elongate, and what seems to be bone turns into like a fleshy tentacle, and it all starts moving as he gestures towards the driver.
Follow the driver. Please promise to save him. Please. Yeah. That.
Jeez Louise.
Where we enter the Twilight Road for real.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. And it's my fault. Well, I mean, it's all of our faults. But I do think it's interesting though that and I'd already exited the scene, otherwise I think I would have added to that to be like, well, I think I know now why the Twilight Road chose who he chose, right? Because you brought somebody who taught you how to tie your shoe, and now the road's going to teach you how to tie your mental shoe so that you can get out of here. So good, dude.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's fucking hard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is. But I think we're
gosh.
getting the hang of it, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
The first scene was a
what-
little clunky as we were like trying to figure out what exactly where we are and planted, but I feel like we're getting the hang of it now. So that's
I love
that's
that
pretty
we
fucking
decided to do this RPG about a road trip, and then we just made Billy play the road.
cool. Yeah.
You're the road, baby.
But it was like my surrogate father figure who I think has been taken over by the road, and I'm quite and I don't even know anybody's name. So they keep saying don't have names. I don't. How does that even work? Anyway,
yeah.
A coming of age tale.
Yeah, exactly. The Giver time, rated R.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? I wanted to go on the road because that was gonna be fun and cool. Oh wait, it was not what I thought it was. Oops.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's interesting too, because now that you're the road, it kind of twists my character's role a little bit, because my job is to I guess to interpret what you're saying and use that to navigate.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
And
you're
I-
my stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think it's cool too because in the event I go into a gibberish spurt, that gives you some freedom.
Yeah, I can just
to
make it up.
interpret.
I can be like,
Yeah.
yep, this is he's saying that we need to yesterday and then 28.
Yeah.
You know, just make up random directions that aren't really directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We need to be sad for 20 minutes and then we can move on.
There's a song, there's a song. It's the song Common People by Pulp. Yes.
No, I don't know that one.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
It's
I'll
about,
tell you what, though, I don't
Yeah.
sing for anybody ever, and you put me on the spot, and I did. I hummed, which isn't the same, but I'm not
It is.
kidding. I don't do that.
and I
so-
tried very hard to match exactly the melody that you gave. So I
Uh-huh.
tried really hard on that one.
But also, what is song?
What is song?
Exactly.
We should have to do our outros.
Yeah.
Everybody, say who you are, where we can find you, give some love. And I want to thank you all for being here so far, but I have all of these thoughts. I just have a lot of thoughts about this, and I'm like, oh, well, we have to come back.
Yeah.
For the next
Oh,
part
God,
of
yes.
the road.
Yeah.
Because we have
We
to
spend
know.
so much time building this world. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I think about the ways in which we hurt each other unintentionally without even knowing it, because we're like bulls in china shops, right? Like we don't even know that stopping right now is going to be disastrous, or
Yeah.
that asking for someone's name might take away their identity by giving them one. You know what I mean? Like just the ways in which all
Yeah,
these little
man,
things.
that was really, really cool. And even in
Yeah.
the end, realizing that you're defaulting to identifying somebody based on their job by saying
Yeah.
the navigator,
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't think that when the, and this is just
Yeah.
speaking to the system that's been
Yeah.
made, this card, the
Yeah.
card game and the way that it's designed, is that
Yeah.
I don't think anybody expected, I'm going to build this road trip game,
Yeah.
and then you're going to get these players who we don't have names. We're the navigator. We're the
Mhm.
whatever. And that's,
Mhm.
and you're the road,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
No
And I
game
think,
will be the same.
yeah. And I'm thinking about the question, why are you here? What are you doing? Is this just sort of fun? All
Yeah.
these really important questions, right? That are, you can't leave the road if you don't have the answers to those questions.
Yeah.
And
And are they the real answers to the questions? Why did you bring your friend? Was it because you were afraid, or because you wanted companionship, or, was there
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more of a different reason? But yeah, anyway.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Outros.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus.
Yes, hi. My name is
Epic
Marcus,
hair.
and also my name is
Oh,
Marcus.
so
Thank you
good.
very much. Thank
So
you.
good.
Yeah, I just can't stress enough how much I enjoyed this, like sitting and listening to y'all create and come up with this world. Like I'm just really excited to hop in here and
Yeah.
just get into it, because
Yeah.
now like really this is what I'm gonna do tomorrow morning. I'm
Yeah.
gonna rewatch the
Yeah.
stream. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be taking my notes. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
this ready to go. So pop this up in the document next time you send the signal trooper, right here back with this. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have all the details. I'm so excited.
Holidays are coming up. There'll be time. We'll just have to
Yeah.
do it, because
Yeah.
We'll
Oh,
do
yeah.
it.
I need to
Okay.
know. We're in trouble right now. We're in trouble. We're on the Twilight Road. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, this is excellent. I'm really, I don't want to do it until we play the next round, but I do want to take a look at these cards. I
Please
like
do.
how it's
They're
written
all there.
so far.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be passing through here, but this is a
Yeah.
really cool game, and I'm already just having not even got all the way into it. I am excited about this, so I'm gonna look into
Yeah.
far more of this. So thank you so much for putting together this game and bringing this to our attention, Trooper.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yes, Billy,
Hey.
my surrogate
Around.
dad who just got turned into somebody else. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Bill of the Forest everywhere now after a change.
I love it.
Mhm.
I'm stoked to be a part of this, and I'm also stoked to apparently expand my mind levels and beyond limits, to try to figure out how I can, man, I'm going to be living in this place for a while,
Mhm.
because in this place of no roots, where everything's changing, everything's possible, and nobody, how do you in all of this make bonds? You're essentially rooting yourself to another person, which is
Yeah.
like a crazy in this world. Like, how do you do that here?
Yeah.
As long
Yeah.
as they're transient, then I think you're both safe. But if they
Yes.
start to root to somewhere
Then they
specific, or
root
like a
you.
location or the past, then
Yes.
they root you, and that's the danger. So it's like you've got this idea of either you root with someone who is
Oh,
transient that you trust
yeah.
implicitly, and you know they're
Yeah.
not going to take you down with them,
Mhm.
or you've got travelers who literally never root with anybody because they don't trust anyone. It's very cool. That's very cool.
Which is why the travelers and the settled people do not interact really.
Yeah.
That's why there's so much distrust, because they can't, right?
Yeah.
Unsettling.
That's
So,
kind of cool. Mm-hmm.
it's amazing.
And I can't wait to take more breaths in this
Yeah.
place, as a group, because I feel like we started with a prompt, and
Yeah.
we have done like a wiki's worth
Yeah.
of world building,
Yes.
Yeah.
in a place that is fucking like cooler than most sci-fi places I've been a part of.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry if I'm not engaging
Oh,
with you directly, because I'm still wrapped up in trying to
yeah.
grasp onto the world to make things out of it.
Yeah.
But
Ow.
yeah, super cool. And the possibility of doing a second thing just blows my
Yeah.
mind. This is gonna
Yeah.
be a fucking riot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for
Wow.
watching. Thank you for playing with me, and thanks for inviting me.
PB.
Yes. Hi, I'm PB Pumpkinberry, and first of all, you hit the goal. Yay.
Yay! We hit the goal, by the way,
Yes!
everybody.
Thank you.
Yes. We're
Oh
at
my gosh.
775 out of 700 for the
Yay.
GLBT Historical Society. So yes, and keep it coming if you will, if you're so desiring. But I'm not going to say any more about this because I want to hear PB, because I'm just
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm in this space right now. By the way, this is an amazing space. The liminal space we've created. I can't right now. It's amazing.
I need to write about this place. I need stories about this place. I just need to figure it out. Like I love that you picked the name Amos. I just love the way that our minds work together. It's incredible, and just another reason, or an affirmation rather, of us all working together again, and why I was so excited about it. I just got so into the world building
Wow.
section of it too. I'm very excited to actually like play out the scenes
Yeah.
as well. I think like I had this idea when I was looking at the cards that I would maybe play a little bit more of this analytical, talks really fast, is constantly like moving their body, and maybe kind of like playing with their fingers, so that they're, you know, just like this kind of like habit stuff of in the body space. But then when I started playing the character, I realized I've got a mega ego. I'm like very accusatory, and I'm just like, I will never let like, even when I was like, this is your fault, I then moved around to, we're now stuck. Like, I think I like the idea that this person won't even allow the blame to sit in one spot. They won't even pause for a second to think, oh, this could be my fault. They just go, this is your fault. Okay, now I'm moving on to the next thought. Just like ADD or ADHD, the person going, oh yeah, that's it. But yeah, I think with some more reflection, because I feel like I even said things that were also rooted, or rooting terms and stuff. So I'd really like to just sit down and think about what language and vocabulary we would use. And yeah, it's just all super fascinating. Yeah. And that's me. And you can find me on Sundays, which is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, where I am GMing a Blade Runner show, which is very cool.
I was just thinking, by the way, I was thinking about that my character had the umbrage that they had a title and not a name, that they were a symbol and not an identity. And they felt that as by leaving, they could get an identity.
Yeah.
But this is a place where having but being told, no, identities like that, that's not good. That's like a fixed thing. You
Yeah.
can't be that, right? And that is like a, ooh, right? When you're like, all this time I couldn't be a person. I had to be this title, right? This
Yeah. And
symbol.
now we're using titles. I'm the navigator. I don't have
Yeah.
a name. Oh man, that's
Yeah.
so
that's
cool.
Yeah.
That's why you're at the road, though.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And I
Yeah.
also really liked the line where you said, they don't dream, they don't,
Yeah.
whatever. And he's like, I assure you they do, because
Yeah.
you're looking at one. Like he's
Yeah.
looking at you going, you were
Yeah.
dreaming of being on the
Yeah.
road, weren't you?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do dream.
Yeah.
We don't. We go
Yeah.
focus. We're going here.
Yeah.
We're going
Yep.
there. We don't have time to sit and think like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
do we dream of being? Because otherwise we'll root ourselves.
Yeah.
It really puts us
Oh.
into such a fun dynamic where like
Yeah.
we have done this so many times.
Yeah.
This is just a part of our nature at this point.
Yeah.
And you just come in and mess everything up.
Yeah. And I realized as we were going through and like Amos, first off, Billy, that the way that you were like, I'm here because actually it's my job, right? And it's my duty, and I'm doing this.
And one of us has to care about duty. I was like,
Yep.
ooh,
I was like, oh, so good. Right? And I feel like it makes sense to me that the road would take Amos because Amos was the most rigid of all of us.
yeah,
Right?
yep.
Mhm.
And so
Yep.
that is
Had to
the
be.
figure that had to be moved, right? In certain ways, right?
Yeah.
And ooh.
In a weird way, too, like you could interpret it as the road is trying to save the rest of
Yes.
you, right? Like I
Yeah.
had to take
Yeah.
the one that would root you the most. Otherwise, you guys are all going to be lost here. And I don't want that.
And
You
maybe
don't
in
want
some
that.
ways save Amos, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
yeah. And it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. That's such a but it's also sad. The ones who are complete roosts, there's a sadness about both of these spaces, right? How do you
Yeah.
it's wow.
Did you know that? I'm sure you knew this, Troop, but like, and I know we got to wrap up, but like
Yeah.
humans were walkers, right?
Yeah.
For a long time. So that's super cool too.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
we're just playing on the idea that,
Yes.
we walk.
There's something
move.
about the world that we've built that feels to me that it is simultaneously a million years ago
Yes.
and a million years in the future,
Uh-huh.
right? Like it feels timeless, and therefore the new Amos feels not transitory but eternal, right? In
Yeah.
the eternal changing. There's something
Yeah.
very large. And Billy, your voice work is excellent. I'm going to just tell you. I was like, oh, that's not Amos. Wait, like earlier, there's like a soft liltingness. And for those of you who know your classical music, I was like, oh man, you're the Erlkönig. Like you are the spirit in the woods who's calling to us. And I don't know if we should go, but yeah. So good. Oh my goodness.
It's going to be super fun trying to find a voice for all of these roads that we make up on the spot.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm. I
Mhm.
believe in you. I'm
Yeah.
sorry
Oh.
that we gave you such a difficult role, but also I know you can do it.
Yeah.
It's-
Oh,
It'll be a wonderful task.
Billy's a
And,
good chaos monkey.
maybe Amos will punch his way through every now and again.
Maybe. That's yeah. Yeah. Secundus, Amos, Noah, that's his name. He's got a name. Believes
Yeah.
in you. But that's part of the problem. So I'm troopersjp. I want to say I want to thank this crew for this, and I am very excited to continue on. We're taking the long road. We've got 3 whole cards to get through. We're just in our opening, and this is where we all learn about each other and get those stakes. And the stakes are happening already, and I am so here for it. So we will be back. And yeah, thank you. Now, for all of you all, I'm
Mhm.
going to take the stream down, change my tech, bring
some
it
food.
back.
Eat some food, please.
No cherry pens.
pens.
No pens. I said no pens, Trooper.
Fine, I've got some chili over there, and I will.
You
and I
will
eat-
have some chili, you
I
promise?
will have some chili. I promise you.
Yay.
And then I will bring the stream back up, and then I will do you'll get some primo lecture on queer musical history before 1923, wherein the very idea of identity as you know it and as you understand it was understood differently at that moment. So apropos, our ways of seeing the world a little bit differently. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who donated. And I will be back in like 15, 20 minutes as I change all of our tech over. Thank you so much, everybody. We will, and this group
Bye.
will be back too. Bye,
Yes.
everybody.